We'll get the work study of the Westmoreland City Council started. It's March 2021, 6 p.m. And I'm going to go ahead and some citizens that want to address the council. So, Ms. Hammond, we'll let you go first.
Right here?
Come up front.
Come on up here with us.
Kind of informal, so
My name is Carolyn Hammonds, Mr. Jerry, and I've been talking to you and Miss Felicia. I live at 512 Cardinal Circle. And I have been working with Mayor Jerry since September to obtain a street sign, Cardinal Circle. It is in the Ridge Crest Estates. Apparently, we've never had a street sign because when the fire came out last end of August, 1st of September, they asked me what the name on my street was. So if a fire happened in my house or my neighbors, guess what? They can't find me. Number one, your GPS has not been updated, which Sumner County needs to do. So I've addressed this with the mayor, and he and I have been corresponding since September the 2nd. When I talked to him day before yesterday, he advised me that the companies that you all ordered, the pole, the signs, and a third one is, I guess, the brackets to match what else is in Ridgecrest, are not doing any business right now because of the COVID. Okay, we need a street sign. I don't give up if it is the green one with the metal poles. There's something that says Cardinal Circle. It needs to be done. It's past due. It's never been there. My house was built I reside with my son. It was built in 2007. So we have several houses there and no street sign, no stop sign. So that needs to be addressed. That's what I had to do. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the financial statement from last month to see how things were going. We could possibly order an additional sign. Keisha, do you know have we already written checks for the first two, or they still on? Because the sign had to come from 3 companies. The stop sign frame and all came from one company. The street sign and the frame came from another company and proposed the third. The company that does proposed is closed for COVID, so everything's on back order. We've already paid for that. I don't know that we can get a refund on it. Hammond suggested was that we cancel that order and just go with the standard street sign. But right now, if I'm not mistaken, I checked the budget and we're already $2,000 budgeted.
My background is accounting and is also with the Internal Revenue Service. You have also already written a check and paid for something that you have not received. You can request a refund in the cancellation of the order. That's 3 different checks, 3 different refunds, and go to Amazon.com and order the cockpit signs. I ordered them in about July.
Is there?
He is not. I'm not sure where he's at.
That's okay. I think he's probably going to plan on coming in a little bit later. We're going to get the ordinances.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate you. So if y'all desire, we'll see. It's tough to decide where the money is coming from out of street aid, simply because you're doing the paving and money coming. But if you want one purchased, we'll get it purchased, and if necessary, we can take it somewhere else. Personally, I was not in favor of ordering 2 signs, but she's seems pretty upset that she doesn't have one. So I'll defer to the council.
Is there an update on it? Can we get an update, like when we might be getting it? I mean, is there not a,
No one has said anything, but I was thinking we already had the street sign and the frame for the stop sign, but we do not have to post the mount on. Well, that,
Sounds to me like it's a safety issue. We need to get on it and get it done.
I don't think it would hurt to have an extra.
okay, yeah, she moved out there, I think in July of this year, and they did the annual flow on the fire hydrants, and whoever was the part-time individual that flowed it did not know the name of the street and knocked on her door, and that somewhat upset her for good reason.
Well, that can be done without a council vote, can it?
No, we're talking about this street sign out at Cardinal. I've been calling it Cardinal Drive. She just said it's 512 Cardinal Circle, Virginia. And I was trying to get an update up. I know Miho had said that both post was on back order because they were shut down for COVID. You know, if we've already received the other 2 pieces of that.
What we're waiting on now is the actual signs for sale. We did get the post in, and we have the base and the wall stuff for the top, but we're waiting on the actual signs now. And other special order, for the black, regular green signs and way that they hang on there. What we're waiting on now. That came out. I try to get an update.
So what she has suggested is we get on it by one regular green sign. Okay. So we'll touch base on that again a little later. Mr. Hunt.
You all have development board. Our charter requires us to have 7 active members. And recently, we had one member move out of the city limits, Britt Little. He'd served for probably close to 5 years. So we're down to 6 members, and to sign a contract or something like that, we would be legal, I think. Minimum 7. So what I was asking for is for you all to add 2 additional members to the board, Rita Carter and Untitled. Tony has served on the board before, real active. Rita has helped us with grants and a lot of other things. They would be a real positive addition to the board. Basically, that's it. Questions? On a side note, I'd like to commend the city, Twin Hills, for the job they did on cleaning up the dollhouses. It was very bad. They did a good job. Thank you.
thank you.
For the sake of the rest of the council, I know before the meeting started, I said something about it. Would you tell them about the what's happening with Tennessee Fuel Sales is up for renewal on their second option, which is in-year option. So, we're in negotiations. We have 3 people
that we have leased Wilson Lumber, which may be off on the reference. Long Ago Lumber and Tennessee Mule Sale. Their contract was for 10 years and 2 5-year options, all for 5 sales per year. They cut their sales to 3 and actually reduced the amount of money we did. So the contract itself was, in my opinion, very poorly written. One back in 2010. So it would be advantageous to the city if we had another industrial company working there. They actually have more square footage. But now, right now, basically, we sent them a letter saying that they were in default of their contract. And the way that it reads, that's, we had a lawyer. Of course, they got a lawyer that said no, because they notified us they were going to 3. So right now, as I told Gary, our lawyer's talking. But they pay $12,000 a year. Wilson pays $9,000. You take a little. And also the way they have their in the contract with their different stalls and their show ring and everything, they basically have it for the whole year. We have no use of it, even though they're only renting it for 3 weekends. They got one coming up in March. That would be the last one on their contract. So right now it's kind of in limbo what will happen. But basically Wilson is hiring more people. They have missed a chance because they were really wanting that area to add on. It probably brought in about $30 million. But as it is right now, that's any question?
No, sir. Thank you for the update, sir.
I've got a question about your point. IDV.
Oh, okay.
I know I was at the meeting where Andy talked about it. You may not be able to answer, but you should.
Yeah.
Do you know which terms Tony and Frida will be taking? I know they're staggered and some of them are shorter than others. And we'll vote on it, we know the timeframe.
I really don't. Brett left a month ago. Imagine one of them would be 30 years, which would be a 7-year term. The other one would be, I would think, Amber that signed a couple years ago.
That's important to us. You know, which term they're going to be. We can lock it in.
I can probably find that out.
You want to just get you all the information.
I'll call him.
If you can't meet, like, then contract. Each member and their term. I may be, we that one.
Yeah.
We're in trouble.
One of Andy's desires is to have enough people that was free roll out.
Well, that's what I said. That's important in the process.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else got missed? Come on up, Ricky.
I got a lot of you probably know, you've been on Facebook while I'm here. want you to reconsider these garbage cans. Now, I'm not knocking our garbage men. They're probably the best garbage men we've had. But I'm going to council with me. But it's a lot of people calling me. I don't know what they think I can do. Of course, we clean it up place. A lot of them holler, I can't afford it. And I know some of them can't even pay the water bill, much less pay for a garbage can. I mean, it ain't gonna affect me. I can buy as many garbage cans as you want. I'm not going there. But I would like you to reconsider it. This is the way it's rode up and the way I've read it, 2 foot from a road, the 5 bags is what really got them. I know sometimes I don't have to. If the kids is around, I may have 6 or 7. I mean, but you take somebody with 5 or 6 people in the house, they're gonna. But I'm not gonna get into who wrote it up. I already know. But it's kind of childish to write stuff up 2 foot from a road. I mean, come on, people, we're grown. Some of it, I'm older than y'all, so you know it's just that way. And there was one more thing I want you to do. I don't know what it'll cost. The bank has a sign. Welcome to Westmore. We don't have none on 31 the other one. We don't have one on 52 either way. Check on it and see what it is. What if you get the cheapest you get it built and call me.
Has or something.
Well, you know, something similar, but not a sign. I want Westmoreland to be known a little better than me. You know, we're coming. You go to Gallatin, you got the sign. Where you got some Portland. And here's Westmoreland with one little nicky sign out here. Half the people don't even know we're here. I mean, I want you to do that and one more thing. Thought about that. Up here between, what is that road? Sumner Drive and what's the other one? Up with Jesse Hudson. Austin Bay. There's trees there. And what I'm talking about, can't even see town. I mean, I've been asked about this a while ago. And the guy at the state told me to take an act of Congress, get him to do it. Knowing him, probably not right. Say I got a lot of time on my hands. Would they let me go cut that? That's the question I'm gonna ask y'all. And like I say, I got 365 days a year that I ain't got a whole lot to do.
Which trees are you talking about, Mr. Klein? I'm
Huh?
kind of confused. Which trees?
They're on the right of way of the state road.
Are you talking about when you pass Mr. Hudson's and they're right on the right-hand side, and
Right.
kind of leaning?
All the way down through that. I mean, it never was kept cut down, screwed up. Can't see town. That's just something I thought of, might give me a little something to do. Won't cost you anything. Y'all get back with me, we'll get warmer now. How's it? It ain't working well.
I really don't think we can authorize anybody to cut trees on state right of way. I mean, I think they need to be gone myself. I don't think we can authorize that.
Do what now?
I don't think we can authorize cutting on state right away.
Well, y'all can't, but you can check into it.
I think it needs to be opened up.
He thinks it needs to be taken care of, but
He agrees. And
Well, it does need to be taken care of. That ain't no doubt about that.
we would just have to look into the liability and who's, like, what that would fall on and all that.
Well,
So,
I've got the insurance.
I know, but we'd have to see what would,
Right,
what would
right.
be for
Or
us.
if they let me do it, I'll release y'all. Well, you won't have no liability at all, is it?
If I'd have known it yesterday, I could ask them. I was in a meeting with some PDOT officials. I could have found that out. So I'll inquire.
Okay. All right, thank y'all.
thank you, Mr. Plum.
Chief,
Yes.
okay, let's go ahead and let Chief get his report done.
Mark, are you still there?
Can you shut that door, please?
He's muted.
Looks like he might be frozen too.
There you go.
Go ahead, Chief. Chief, they're ready for you to do the report.
He's moving, but.
Yeah, that's exactly. He's moving, but
I don't have any audio. You have to do it once forward.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, go
Well, it looks like he's trying now.
Hey, Chief
Yeah.
Jenkins, can you hear me? Mark, can you hear me? You have two Zooms, you have two openings going on. You have two different
oh, they didn't do that.
Zoom, and they're gonna echo back and forth.
Maybe we use,
That's like you just shut down one Zoom.
Right. Well, I didn't know they were both him because one says him and the other one says like fireman.
yeah.
So I thought it might have been someone else.
Yeah, he's not.
No, they're both his.
Okay.
Maybe we should come back to them.
Can we shut one app and you like the? let
Can I
one go?
close one?
Yeah, can you close?
You can.
Which one do I need to close? This one over here.
I don't know. Maybe close the fireman 401 window.
Okay, I stuck him back in the waiting room for the fireman one. But then he disappeared on the other.
I know.
I wonder if he's called in online.
He told me to tell y'all we'll go on and he'll work on getting his right.
Okay.
Called in online and he's not.
Gotcha. A video.
Because he
I
did have
see.
issues with his audio last time. So.
Okay, it's pretty much gonna be
Yeah, this ain't work.
everyone that is left here. How we going?
Oh, there he is. He's on the phone.
Is he going really fast?
Yes, he's
Yes,
going really fast. It's like he's in fast forward mode.
Yeah. And then it goes again. Yeah, I don't know.
We'll come back to it.
Okay.
If you want to go ahead and give
God, this thing ain't working at all.
pick up on some of the other stuff.
It's cutting out too much.
I gave everybody.
I could mute him
I'll
again.
email them a copy of it. We just got both of our cars, the recent ones that we just bought, 2021
got it striped yesterday, and then yesterday evening, we had had one of the officers take it. I'm sorry, go pick it up and take the other ones, we got it done today, so both of those are striped. Guy did a really good job, and it was 950 for both of them, which I thought was a good deal. Obviously, I don't know if now will get time to, or wait to talk about the animal control stuff. What's that?
Why don't you go ahead and go into your interviews first? What's happening there as far as trying to put on a replacement officer for
John
Mr. David, and what the council had asked last time, and before we move forward on anything, I was going to ask, but I wanted the chief to be here so we could address the animal control issue as a whole in regard to what we're looking for. He has we've done some Bellavia pulled some great stats for us. We roughly have 1.86 calls.
It was, he said it was, we have a call for animal control, 2.86, just shy of 3 every third day. Roughly, for conservative numbers, just say 1 every 3 days, roughly. So there's not a lot of calls for animal control.
What I explained to the chief was we're looking at in the new budget providing schooling for an individual to be able to pretty much make us legal to have animal control. Now, the council is going to have to make a decision if you want to go with a full-blown animal control. I mean, you can call it animal control and let's go out and answer a nuisance call, or you know, if we have a vicious call, obviously we're in contact with the county. But for us to have true animal control, we've got to have a person, we've got to have training, we've got to have a facility to store those dogs. So in essence, we're going to have to build a pound. We're going to have the equipment to do with it. And when you're housing these animals while we're awaiting transport somewhere else, then you have to provide food for them, and possibly even if that's any veterinary or medical attention the animals might need. So I don't think that that's truly anything that the council wants to tackle until they get into the budget hearings. The municipal code does animal control to fall underneath. What I'm trying to say is there is a municipal code for animal control, and the police department does enforce municipal codes. Each one of us has taken an oath that we will follow the Constitution of the United States, the state of Tennessee, and the charter and ordinances of West Florida. So that does fall underneath the jurisdiction. What we've done for many years when we didn't have people available, the police department would receive a call just as they would any other call. And at that point, they would answer the call just the same way they would a disturbance call or domestic violence or speeding or anything else. We basically advertise the position for control and a police officer. 98% of the calls for animals come in during the day. So this would be basically a day shift position. The position that you have is a night shift position right now. So then there would be some moving around on shifts. We have, Bellavia, who is getting ready to leave for a month's training with the military. So we're gonna be covering that. We're officer down, so we're covering that. We're getting into, we're into March now, so when you get into April, May, and June, we're gonna have people taking vacations. And, there's a lot to consider here, but, he is going through interviews right now. I'm sitting in on those interviews with the, captain and sergeant. And, he's got some great candidates at this point, and I've been thoroughly impressed so far, so. But, it seems like what the hangup is, and oddly enough, most of the people, well, every one of the people we've interviewed so far has said animal control is not a problem. They will do their best, but we've got to look at animal control as a whole situation and an entity in itself. It's great to have a police officer to take care of this, but it's also you need someone that can be dedicated as an animal control, and also we'll probably talk later in the discussion today about permitting and codes of fishing. So there's a lot to consider, but Chief, I don't know what I've left out, but I'm sure you've got a lot to add to it.
I do. There are a few options that we've discussed a little bit and that I thought of. One thing that I found out recently since I spoke to you, Mayor, is we had an individual, I don't know what he would charge, but he'd be willing to come do training for every police officer on the basics, get us certified, every officer to be certified to be animal control, everything except for euthanization, which quite frankly, I don't ever see the reason why this city should be concerned with euthanization. I would think that we could transfer the animal to Sumner County and they could do that. So one of the problems we were considering, we were thinking that we had to send them an officer to Missouri for 2 weeks, and it's expensive training. But if we do this, it would be substantially less, and that individual could come to our department and train several of us, if not all of us. So with that in mind, what the mayor was saying, for the last 3 months, whichever officer is on duty has just had to handle animal calls to the best of their ability. So far, we've not had any real issues, but if we would have had an issue where we had to transport a dog, that might have become troublesome because we don't have the proper carrying vehicle. Now, there are some things we might could do to save a little bit of money. We could make you utilize the truck, but we would have to get a couple different size kennels because you can't put a small dog in a large kennel and then transport it to Gallatin without it possibly being harmed. So you have at least 2, maybe 3 different size kennels. They would need to be somehow stationary in the truck. That would give us the ability to transport an animal. Now, Amanda Wolf had told me before that she had run into problems that she would get a dog after hours and she couldn't contact, or she couldn't get anyone. She didn't have a code to get in Sumner County. This has been a few months ago. I talked to Deputy Chief Aaron Pickard, and he said there's a number that is supposed to be able to be called 24/7, and a supervisor will come out and meet one of our officers to take custody of the dogs. So that's an option. And as the mayor said, we did have some pretty good candidates. We've got a couple more still to interview. Just to be completely honest, one of my biggest concerns is at least three of the applicants are former employees. They really want to be police officers. And for the most part, most officers don't want to also be animal control. If we hire someone that may say that they're willing to do that now, there's always obviously the possibility once they get back into police work, if they get an offer to go somewhere else, where they would not have to do animal control, we might lose them. That's just a possibility. Answer that.
So in other words, your thinking is they're just saying they'll take it, do the job.
Yes, sir. I believe that because, but now, so I think this leaves a couple options. We can continue. We can just spend a little less money, get the training for the officers from the individual that could come to train us. Maybe we might have to wait to the new budget, obviously, but maybe get the things we need to properly transport animals and just let the police officers continue to handle it. Or if it allow to have a dedicated animal control officer, even if it was part-time. Because, but then we run into the trouble. I can see if you got someone working 3 days a week, or then if you don't have someone else to transport the dog, then you do run into the issue where you're gonna put the dog or the cat or whatever animal it is until you can get it to someone else. So you'd almost have to have full time, even though their responsibilities with them, they get full-time jobs. So it may work. It may be something you want to consider about looking to see if one person would do several different duties. So it is a lot to discuss. Questions?
I know you said the average to about one call for 3 days. But has that been over the winter though?
That's right. It will
Okay, so we're
increase.
hitting the spring, so we're probably gonna have some increase.
Forgot how long of a time. I think he went back 6 months
Okay.
and we've had COVID and all that. So yeah, it will increase, I'm sure. Because you'll have snakes and snapping
Oh, yeah.
turtles and all that good stuff.
Chief, is your department still doing the maintenance codes?
No, right now, no, we have not been. We haven't been asked to, but I'm sure, just like the mayor said, we can write citations for city ordinances. We can enforce it. We can do whatever needs to be done. I don't think we've had a single call regarding that. I don't know if the people don't know that we can't take care of that or what. We haven't been answering them. But we're willing to, obviously, if someone's got a high grass problem or something like that, we can go out and talk to them, give them a warning, and we can write a citation just like Amanda used to do.
I personally think that's a good idea myself.
I have a question. Okay, the last time the council come together as a whole, the wishes of the council at that point, and you and I have discussed this, the wishes of the council, if I'm wrong, y'all tell me I'm wrong, was to tell Mr. Jolly to appoint someone that we already had employed to do animal control. Just one person, whoever he would like to do. I thought that was our decision. So my question is, how did we go from what the wishes of the council was to advertising to animal/police when we asked the council's wishes was to just delegate that to one officer?
Well, I refused to do that. I wasn't going to ask one of my police officers and animal control officers. I don't feel like that's right. That's not what they signed up for. If I did that, I feel certain that officer would resign, and I didn't want to lose an officer.
It goes under your job. When you got hired, I looked at your
Job description.
Thank you, sir. Job description, and it says claim as day, animal control.
I don't know, we will do it. But I'm not gonna tell one police officer that they are gonna be the animal control officer.
But we're gonna hire.
I like the idea of Chief Jolly, if the training don't cost much, get that guy up here and get all of our officers certified. Then while they on patrol, we get an animal call, they can be dispatched to it.
But the difference being, as we discussed, if we put it out there at first saying that we're looking for a person that is going to be a police officer and animal control, they know going into it. So I did it that way.
Do you happen to know how much this gentleman's gonna cost?
Which I know I don't, the training, no, we just found out about it. I'm sure it'll be substantially less than sending somebody to Missouri. I don't know the exact cost.
I mean, I know you're saying this person will be daytime, but of course calls come in at night. So playing devil's advocate here, if all of your officers or most of your officers are covered, then even your night officers could go to a call.
Yes,
and
ma'am, I agree.
be
That's
able
why I
to.
think, because we will possibly get some in the middle of the night. That's definitely possible. And if we did, for instance, have that one daytime person that was considered the animal control officer, we wouldn't want to call that individual out at 2 o'clock in the morning, so whatever officer's working, we'll essentially have to get like just.
I think what the council was looking for, Chief, basically is someone we obviously, we didn't know about this gentleman that come and train everyone. It was our understanding there's several schools around and they, the county basically sends their folks to 3 schools. I think even making different stuff. I don't know if there's different, expertise that they're going for or what. My suggestion to the council is going to be that we go ahead and let things go like they've gone for the last 40 years. Let the police department continue to answer all the animal control calls. We will go ahead and for these interviews and the description, go ahead and basically assign those duties to the new person that comes in. Those titles can always be changed by council vote per our policy. So, but you're right, they come in the door and know that they have it. I think probably what's the most upsetting is you feel like you have officers that wouldn't do that and that would quit and go off.
Well, I'm sorry to interrupt. I think all the officers would be fine with answering on their shift as part of their shift. You designate one person and say, we're gonna send you to these schools and we're gonna make you the animal control officer. That's what I was getting at. I think the officers that we have, because this city generally, like most small cities, we can't put people through the academy. So we, in the past, I'm sure you all have advertised for certified officers. You're getting officers with experience and a lot of training. They come here to be police officers. So then to tell them, well, I'm going to appoint you and I'm going to make you be the animal control officer, I do feel like, I know if it happened to me, that's something I wouldn't be interested in. And I've been a police officer for 20 years and that was my passion. And my supervisor said, well, 20 or 30% of the time you're gonna have the animal control. I'll say, thank you, I'll give you my notice, but I'll go somewhere to work where I don't have to do that. I don't think it's a bad, I'm not trying to set a bad light on the officer.
Yeah, I think what the council was looking for, that we had someone that was trained that we could go to. But if you're saying all of the officers can be trained, then essentially that covers it under one big umbrella.
Yes, sir.
We definitely need to get some prices on that, find out for sure if his certifications are good, what's the difference in the certifications he offers versus the one that Sheriff Weatherford's people have. Do some more investigation in it. But I think at this point, like I said, my recommendation would be to go ahead and interview and hire an individual, but put that tag on there just for the time being until it can be removed.
Whoever he hires has got to be certified also, right?
I'm sorry, sir, I didn't hear you.
Whoever you hire, they'll have to be certified also, right?
Well, we're trying to kind of do the best we could to fill the void of Officer David. So our thinking was, and I think what the council had suggested is, if the money's not there to hire a full-time or even a part-time animal control, we need one that can do both. So we've got a couple of applicants that would have to go through a school. They're eligible to be certified, but because they've been out of law enforcement for a certain time, they have to go through the 3, and it's not even, now it's all virtual. They have to go to the academy for 2 days and the rest of it is virtual. And it costs, I think it's like $800, but then they would be certified full again. Does that answer your question?
Well, I was just asking about being certified to be animal control.
I'm sorry.
But
I think the way I understand, and we just found out about this, literally yesterday, the way I understand it is this instructor is, he's a certified instructor to make our officers be certified to a certain extent. Now, there's obviously lots of different specialties because in different regions of the country, you may have lots of different animals you deal with. But for the purposes of what Westmoreland would need, I believe we could get the certification to sufficiently do the job.
Can you find out the cost of that? Getting all of our officers certified?
I'm gonna do that tomorrow, absolutely.
Other questions? Comments, concerns?
Are we discussing that go further, or are we going on?
Ed had animal control on, so, we'll finish up animal control, then we'll move to those.
The cages that you mentioned. Do you think we should discuss that later on? Would you like to discuss that now? Do you have any quotes on what size cages we need, how much?
No, we just really started discussing that in the last couple of days. And I don't know, and this person who can do the training may can help us more, or maybe Hessen, the trainer. I know that we can't just throw an animal in the back of a pickup truck, so that'd be dangerous for them. So I don't know what the regulations would be, so we gotta look into that, but I think it was, and I hope that we'd be able to, for saving money, say, if we had a secure, say, a larger kennel for a larger dog, and then had a little bit smaller one, as long as they're in that kennel is not getting rained on or something like that, I would think that would be fine to transport the dog from here to go. So, but I will try to get clarification on all that.
Did Amanda Wolf have any cages at all that she was using? Were they not the greatest? Or
We
what?
do have a kennel. She did use that sometimes, and Amanda would often put them in the front of the truck with her, so
Okay.
that can
She
be
did the best she
done.
could do.
She did the best she could
Okay.
do, and that can be done, but if
We're
there
gonna
was
do
a
this
wreck
right.
or something, that animal got hurt, then it could be a liability.
We need to do this right. if we're gonna do it.
Exactly.
Go ahead, Brian.
So my question is one in the program. I saw a car parked at Kenny's. Was there a problem that we hadn't discussed prior to
All right, Kenny's, how much?
in the parking lot?
Oh, wait, I'm not sure. We had cars going in and out of there for different things continually.
It was there for certain.
You remember which one it was?
I looked at the number, but I couldn't remember.
We took one just recently because we thought the door handle was broke on the Charger, and I forget which number it is on the black Charger that's marked. And Sean Greasy brought it back to me. He said that he ordered the new door handle, so it sat there for a couple of days waiting for the door handle. When he got to taking the old handle off, he realized it was just a screw that was loose. He was able to fix it, so we sent the door handle back. But, I can't think of one we've had any major trouble with recently.
I just thought. That's not a problem.
Yeah, we haven't had any major issue, anything.
And the drug dog vehicles in service now, it is.
And we got it back today with the stripes on.
We talked about this before, but I don't know if you were in the conversation or not. We had some discussion on Facebook about the tornadoes. Usually, if someone had commented that it was usually tested on the first Saturday of the month. But I think there was some discussion that it's not operable.
It's turned off now. The last time that we went up, turned it on, we thought it was working good, and like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, it went off again. So I've talked to Ken Widener, who suggested this is just him from the Emergency Management Association. He says unless you've got a really big outdoor gathering, that most people, unfortunately, he's got statistics. He said if you want to come talk to the council, he doesn't believe in them a whole lot. He thinks that these weather systems, the warnings, code red, different things like that, you get on your phone are much more reliable. But the last time I think was even discussed, it was when the previous council was here, and I know there was I think there were a couple that kind of would like to have it continue to work, and then there were a couple that thought we should just go to code red. So if you all want to do the siren, we'd have to find out who services it and see if we can find out why it's going off on its own at 4 o'clock in the morning, because that's disturbing ours.
Well,
I'm sure
that Facebook discussion paired with a couple of news articles. Part of March is the whole year, and it made me show some concern because I didn't know if it was functional or not. And I guess if it's not gonna be tested, we probably should put it on the Facebook page. Let people know that it's not in operation and that maybe we can direct them to sign up for a reading. So that we can.
I want to say, I don't know how far out you can actually hear it. Like, I know those right by it, you hear, of
Yeah,
course.
there's a lot of
But
people that do rely on it, so I wanted to make sure it was communicated correct.
We're more than willing, if the council decides that they want to utilize that, just let me know and we'll do the test or whatever we need to do.
I mean, it's something that people depend on, may not even have internet.
Right.
I don't know what company we would call, but I'd have to do some checking to find out. We need somebody to come and check in and answer the question, why in the world is it going off in the middle of the night, split skies?
Well, you know, it's not that
My
old.
experience with, radio control transmitters like that one gets the receiver, that they don't.
That's what came out.
There's too many chances for false alarms. Just like what happened to Pelton last time, went off 4 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, ran for 30, 35 minutes. They're not reliable. Some salesmen came in and sold the idea that it was the greatest thing since a piece of sliced bread, and when they issued grants, they pretty much made it, I don't know that it was mandatory that you have one put in, but there was definitely money made available for it. But they're, I'll state my reputation on it, they're not reliable. The only way that something like that would work well, and it did work well when we had dispatch in Westmoreland. But once it was moved, and what you do there is you do a hardwire switch system to the unit from a location. I know it was suggested that the officers go by and they're the only ones that have the keys to the box now and turn it on like that. Once you get into a situation where you have an emergency, you don't have time to go by and get keys out and usually by then it's already pouring down rain and maybe already sleeting or hailstorm coming. If you can't get it hardwired and put the switch gear in to someone that is able to operate it, I would say dismantle it.
That's what I was saying. I don't want people to think that they have the security they can. Into what it would do. I'd hate to go without one, without a nice one.
But you were saying you're afraid people don't have phones. I'm telling you from the school side of it, because that was our thought when we were going virtual. You'd be amazed that most everybody has something that's gonna go off.
Well,
If they sign up for Code Red, like it's going to tell them.
We put it out there. It's been a month or two, but I know that Sabina put it on the Facebook page, I think, and you might put it out there. And we've got to get training. Those of us that have the access to do the Code Red, we got to know how to work it correctly. But I did change all that. So I've got Keisha's on there, Mark Jenkins, myself, the mayor. We just got to get the training. It's a virtual training, so and I think it's actually coming up real soon. So that we know, and that would be more about putting announcements out there. But, hope I don't know whether, I'm not sure how it all works. But
I want to make Sumner County. If you
Yeah.
sign up for it, some
I think you've
county
automatically
blessed
get
it.
that. So all we need to do, what we want is just if we need to put city announcements out there. So I think if they got Code Red, they'll get more. I've still got mine from where I worked in Nashville, and it wears me out because I get email, text message, phone, and voice. And keep it because it's a good system, but I also have Code Red. And if there is, if you got a lot of public or people that are concerned about it, because I brought that up back when we were having trouble with him, he said that he would be happy to come, do like basically a presentation. He can give you stats to show you that, like the mayor was saying. Unless it's a great big outdoor event where there's lots of people outside, it's not gonna do a whole lot.
It sounds like hardwire.
But my question would be, I don't know how far out do people actually, how, you know what I mean?
Depends on the conditions too. If you've got a blinding rainstorm
You're
coming,
not gonna hear it. Like, I know, I'm in city limits, obviously. I don't hear it when it goes off.
I'm not that far from it, and it's not real loud in my house.
So
I
in a
can't hear
blaring,
it,
booming
so.
thunder and lightning, I'm not going to, I don't know it.
You all did decide that you wanted to look into hardwire, and I don't see where the problem, if we get a hardwire, whatever officers working, could run by them real quick and hit the switch. That's something that consider. There'll always be at least one officer, even if one's not on the counter, there'll always be one. And this town's small enough, no matter where they are, they can get back and hit that switch.
That's all.
But as it is now, I don't think it's working very well. Anything else, you know? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I think Chief Jenkins is set up now.
Oh,
Maybe.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, we can.
All right, finally again. I think I sent everybody the report for January and February. Is that correct?
Yes.
great.
Okay, we was up on calls in January and also February. We had like 48 calls in February, so it was way up. But that's really all I have unless you have any questions.
Are your radios on the new system? You mentioned that to us last month.
Yeah, they are not. My understanding is they're still working on the software program for them radios. So the next ones that'll go in will be Shackle Island #1 and then us.
Mark, do you have enough radios to suffice, what you have now and service it?
What do you mean for the new radios?
Yes, because, there's money in the budget in case you need to purchase more, for you to get those.
Yeah, yes, I am gonna have to get one or two more because we do need an extra radio or two if something happens to a radio.
Okay.
We're exactly, where we need to be, but we need a couple of extra ones.
Okay, I just wanted to touch base with you before time ran out on that.
Yes, all right, thank you.
You've started training again for your firefighters?
We started in February. We started training again in February. Now, how it goes, how this variance on this virus comes through, I guess we'll find out, but maybe everybody's either had it or not gonna get it. It's what we're hoping, or has got a shot.
Chief Jenkins, on what you and I discussed a couple of days ago, please stay on top of that. I received a call yesterday, and it did not sound real promising to me. So stay on that situation.
Yes, well, I talked to Terry Wright. He is on Emergency Services Committee. And I explained to him how we operated and how the county funded us and everything back from 35 years ago to now. And he, I think, understands it. So we're just going to have to wait on the decision of the Emergency Services Committee and then go from there.
Okay, that's good. I'm glad he called and spoke with you.
Yes.
Thank you. You started putting numbers together for your 21-22 budget as of yet?
I haven't yet. I guess it's starting to get time, huh?
Yes, sir. I think you're the only department head that I hadn't touched base with to give a reminder that it's right around the corner.
Right. I was thinking April, but maybe sooner than that.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we'll keep you on board if we're gonna do the budget hearings in-house or Zoom or hybrid, or how we're gonna do that.
Okay. All
Okay.
right.
Thank you, Chief.
All right. Thank you, Mayor.
Any other questions from Chief Jenkins? Okay. Thank you, Mark.
Yes, sir.
You might as well pull your chair up. I got
Yeah.
to be here while discussing ordinances and.
All right, who wants to go first?
Okay, first, I'm gonna go, I'm just gonna throw out the questions that are being sent to me. How much are the trash cans?
$61.
This round.
This round is
This
$61.
round.
Okay, that's all I want to know. Then my second one, and this is something I've had several asks. How will this affect the trash truck work? Are workers going to lose? I had several people ask if people going to lose their jobs. Are we transferring to other departments? Like, how's that going to work when we move that direction?
No, I mean, it's gonna be years before we can ever afford a truck. But even when that happens, much work,
Okay,
you know, I've got, it hurts me to actually have people on the trash.
because you're needing people in other departments, correct?
Yeah, I mean, like today, we walked in City Hall, days like, you know, we open, we ain't seen you for days. Because, you know, right now there's 5 people and 3 of us on the garbage truck Monday and Thursday. And, you know, it's just me and Shane today, and we had 27 sewer pits that had to be cycled, and 4 sewer stations that has to be checked, the water pumps have to be turned on. You know, and that ain't counting, you know, the thousands of potholes that need to be patched.
Right, that was the concerns of several citizens in Colorado. They didn't want men to be losing their jobs because of. So I'm pretty sure they won't, but I will double check that for you.
No one lose their job.
Okay.
I mean, it's hard to find people that leave. Just honestly,
Look at that.
that's the biggest killer of public work is, you know, nobody wants to ride a garbage truck forever. You know, when you only have so many positions you can fill, you can't take somebody off of it because, you know, somebody got to do it.
Those are my questions. Okay.
How much is it if they have over 5 bags a week?
It would be whatever the rate is.
$13.25.
Right.
Now,
But now that's only if they're repeated offenders, like if they, but now if they buy the bag, the cans, they can have as many bags as they want,
As long as the lid shuts.
as long as the lid's shut. But now, like if you got 1 week or even 2 weeks, you know, that you can't, you know, your lid's up a little bit, you know, there's not nobody gonna say nothing. But if it's every week, it's mounded over, you know, for a month on end, you know, people, the garbage truck driver knows, you know, when you pull up and it's the same place every week, you know, it's just like turning people's water on, you know, when it's the same house every month, and then they beat you back to City Hall to get it reconnected, you know you're gonna turn this person's water off every month. And when you pull up to this trash, you know they're gonna have way too much every week. But that's why, you know, you're also allowed to get 4 cans. You have to have it, you know, that's a lot of trash. I mean, the daycare down there that has all those kids and, you know, they only have 4 cans and they don't always have them full. Most of the time it's 2 or 3 cans.
so is it for 4 cans, it's our flat rate?
Now,
Or-
2 cans is the flat rate, is
Okay.
the rate it is now. Any more than that, the rate will go up. You can purchase more cans, but then, so like if you had to have 4 cans, you just pay 2 twice.
13.
But that's okay, that's all I want to know. Okay.
Now, let's get this clear too, since it's being recorded and everybody can hear it. 30-gallon trash bags is the biggest they can use. Not leaf bags, not
Well,
construction bags.
as long as it's not over 50 pounds.
So you don't care what's, because in the ordinance it states 30 gallons. It does.
Okay. Well, so to be honest with you, I had a chance to go through it.
Oh, I've
I
had,
wanted to.
yeah, I've had to read it.
Okay, three more
If
times.
it's in there, then yes.
Okay.
But, I've had so much going on the past few weeks. I wanted to have Bill on this, because I knew I was gonna be asking me questions. I wasn't gonna have to answer to them, but yes, if it's in there, then
Okay.
yes.
And when are we going to start enforcing it? That's what people's been asking is when, because they want to be on the heads up. If
Right.
they're going to be charged double, they want to know, hey, I'm going to be charged double. So when are you going to start enforcing it? And who's going to enforce it?
Well, actually, we would be keeping up a list. And that's the only way I can think is, that we're gonna have to take a picture of whoever's riding the garbage truck or driving. No, most of it's gonna be Jackie, the driver. He said that he can take a picture. And then we're just gonna have to keep up with it. We're gonna have to, I guess, make a note. And it's only if it's offender, I guess you'd say.
Now, when did they become a habitual offender? Is it after 2 times, 3 times?
I mean, it would be, I would say after you, if you're doing it every week for a month, then you're in that, you know. It's gonna be kind of up to the driver's discretion in my opinion, because, you know, there's gonna be times that somebody's gonna have, you know, Christmas, Thanksgiving, you know, of course, you know, nobody's gonna be saying nothing about it around that time of year. But, you know, every week, you know, for a month and a half, then you got a problem, we need to talk to you about it, or maybe, you know, you were cleaning out that month and it's not gonna happen next month, you know, we'll talk to you about it. And if, you know, that's the case, then, you know, there's no issue. But, I mean, we're not, no, I'm not out to, you know, just, you know, everybody, every time you got one bag over, or your lid's not all the way closed, it's 3 inches high, you know, that's not what we're out to do. We're just, you know, trying to get this in place to kind of help the city be a little cleaner, you know, get rid of all this trash that's blowing around from where people, you know, just set bags out. They don't have a can, which, you know, most of the time, if you just set a bag out, as long as you set it out that morning, most time it's all right. But a lot of people, they'll just pile the trash up out there at the road, and then dogs get in it, birds get in it, it gets scattered. It's all in the ditches. Then we have to pick it up eventually, even though we're not supposed to pick up their trash that's busted in the bags and stuff on their fault. You know, we want picking it up, cleaning it up. It just makes the city look trashy. And also, you know, eventually, we want to get the different, you know, the newer truck, and then, you know, that if we go ahead and get the cans in place now, once we get that point, you know, the transition will just be better. It'll be a lot easier than trying to do it all at one time, the can and the truck, all of this. But I mean, it's just, it's gonna take time. As far as when, I mean, it's actually already in place. I'm trying to let people get time, you know, get the cans out there. I'm thinking, you know, around July, you know, people should have enough time to have either gotten a can or at least gotten one ordered. I think July would be a good time to, you know, say, hey, you know, start, if we're noticing people that are struggling to adjust to it, you know, then, you know, I'll try to go and talk to them. And just see how we do around in that time. That's kind of what
Now, according to the ordinance, so they have until January, correct?
to get the
To
can,
get the can.
So 2022.
Of 2020, this fall, this next January,
Right.
correct?
right, to get the can. The 5 bag limit
Isn't it?
Okay.
is already
Okay.
in,
Or 2 cans.
or 2 cans.
Right. That's where people's getting.
Yeah.
My other question was, I had a citizen to ask me before I come here. If he purchased a trash can and I told him that y'all have a serial number, you'll write it down, it'll be in the books at City Hall. His question was, if somebody steals his can and we can't recover it, you can't find it, is he responsible to buy another one? And what is he supposed to do for that time period in between?
Yes, he would be responsible for it if it's sold. And it's just like any other property, once it's bought, it's yours. The only thing the city would be responsible for is damage caused by us splitting it in the truck. If it's stolen, you know, I mean, I guess that would become a police. I really don't know how to answer that part of it, other than if it's stolen, we're not gonna replace it. It would just be like if somebody stole your laptop, whatever. And because then, you know, at that time, it would be your property, the city will replace it if, we damage it. And it will have a serial number on it, so if it is stolen and happen to find it, you know, you're able to identify it, and we have proof that it is yours. But in between time, we're planning, once this, everybody gets a can and everything, we're planning on having some stored and storage. So if that happened and he needed a new can, you know, he could either come in City Hall and pay for it, or payment plan to get a new one.
And this is my last question for right now. I'm sorry. The other question was asked. As of right now, they don't have the trash cans, or they won't. Let's say this person's not, they're refusing to get a trash can until 2022, or refuse forever. But we've had some citizens says, I don't care what you do. I pay my bill, I'm not buying a trash can. My trash can is just fine. I'm not buying it, but you better pick up my trash, because if you don't, I'm gonna have it at City Hall door that day.
Right.
And I mean, they're serious. I mean, I've heard this. So what is, since it's a bag limit right now, what, okay, you're saying over 5, but if somebody just throws, like you brought to us before, 30 bags, is it still $13.25? I mean, that's a lot of trash. You're talking about, you have
For
20.
every 5 bags. So if they.
Oh, so you're putting a limit every 5, you're saying 5 bags is $13.25, and then 5 more bags is $13.25, and
Just
5.
like, just like 2 cans, would be the same price. So if they got 20 bags, then they're gonna pay the $13.25 4 times.
That doesn't state that in the ordinance at all. There's no bag limit, period. After, it just states anything over 5 bags, there's nothing in there.
Right, well, in my opinion, that's statement, which, that's an opinion, but, the way I would have taken it when I read it was, you know, you got a 5 bag or 2 can limit for the $13.25. If you go over that, then you got to pay $13.25 for that again. That's the way I take it, but I wrote it. I mean, that was how I meant it when I wrote it. I guess I could have.
Yeah, but if somebody takes that and they get a bill for, 20 bags, they're gonna go, this is not in the ordinance, I'm not gonna by law, and if they take it as far as civil court or whatever, they'll win.
How many bags do you think will fit in the trash?
I don't know. I mean, I guess it just really depends on what's in the bag.
Yeah, because I'm thinking 5 bags. You're gonna charge them every 5 bags, but you might possibly get that many in one, but you're only charging it for 2 cans.
That's true.
And the reason about
So
that,
that's
and I
10
really
bags.
do think more will fit in
Yes.
1 can than 2
But you're
cans.
only paying.
And that's why
$13.25.
I said that,
Oh,
was to encourage
But you
people
got,
to
you
get
see
the
what it's
cans.
saying? If
Like
there's-
if you have
We're doing
more
just that.
trash.
Yeah.
you know,
Oh, no,
then
You see what I'm
you
saying?
can be able to
But
get that in.
if there's a can.
Yeah, those 20 bags. I've seen
Right, but
those
that's what she
things.
said. Why would the bag-
And a lot of times, you know, that would have
But if
fit.
it was trash can,
But
just
see,
trash,
it's 2 cans, we could dump.
that's what she.
Whereas the bags, we got to pick up and handle.
Oh, I understand. I'm like her, I've heard that.
And when can we start buying these?
You, 2 weeks ago.
Okay,
Uh,
I just wanted
Okay.
to.
I have a list
I've
going.
got some questions.
Once they come in,
Go for it.
they're gonna deliver them.
Cause I got more now.
Okay, I had someone contact me, talking about the elderly and disabled people that aren't able to get their. Policy speaks to that, it's not very broad based. I understand you may have several that you do that, have that exception for,
Yes,
and people can contact City Hall to get, over you to set up that exception with these cans.
and we already do that. If you're
Yes.
disabled, and you don't have somebody living in the house that can do it, we already do come to your house.
And then another question that someone had was like the box, was a lot of boxes. The ordinance doesn't say the boxes have to go in the can, they should be broke down. Not that they go in the can, and that was. Not there, but
Okay, it says prior to being deposited, which implies that it is being put into something.
Okay,
I'm just going with,
okay.
if you want to go by wording,
If you
prior
read
to
it-
being deposited,
If you read it that way.
as, I know, I'm just,
Yeah. So that was a confusion. I would assume the person has a stack of boxes that are broke down, that's not gonna be a violation. Unless it,
And it.
unless it's like every week, right?
No, I'm pretty sure that it says in there that all trash should be in the can. And if you got boxes that, and they're out there, then they're considered trash because you're putting them at the trash can, or you think it's trash, then why wouldn't you put it in the trash?
And another point of clarity here is 10 years, 7 years, if we get a one-armed truck like
That's right. Okay.
Galvin has, that truck doesn't know that box is outside.
That's right. That makes sense.
It has to be deposited into the can or container to be,
Okay,
to be done.
well, that makes that. clear.
My question is, do we have the money in the budget to put the arms flippers on the second truck? Because we're moving ahead with this very fast, and obviously it's for safety reasons. And at this point, we only have that apparatus on one truck. And I know we've already got several citizens that have this already. And Keisha can verify, we have a lot of folks that's coming in to purchase those. We had one lady come in the other day, has some rental units, and she purchased 8. I'm right over there, so.
I can't remember.
Yeah, so, when you're ordering them 100 at a time, and you're dropping 8% of them and with one customer, they're going pretty quick.
Right. We do not have the funds in there as of yet, but that is something that I want for the next budget. But as of right now, it is not.
Next concern was the 2 feet from the curb. Contacted me, with the school home, they don't feel like it's safe. I know there's exceptions to that, like you said. Some people are told where they can put their hands in an alternative. Will that hinder the arm situation, or? Because it may be more than just a few.
Once we get the truck, like I said, that's a long time from now. We don't know because we don't have one, so I can't answer that. But, that's just what I've read in other ordinances like Gallatin and Portland, things like that. That's kind of what I based it off of. But, I don't know because I've never ran one.
But I know that obviously.
Right. Right.
That was just something in the ordinance that they felt.
Right. There's some houses around here that their yard just slopes off right from the road and they can't. And whenever we do get the truck, I believe that we're gonna have to either build something right there for them, set it on, or we're gonna have to work something out with them. But I spoke with a lady the other day and I had to kind of go down there to her house and, show her kind of what we could do. And it's growing pains. The city's growing, and this is one of the, a step toward the future, I think, in my opinion.
Now, businesses downtown that have garbage control. And how them, that arm obviously can't get up off the sidewalk. So that's not getting there.
Well, and that's another thing, once we get the truck, I'm thinking that we may have to start having them put the cans either out back or all in one location somewhere. Or it may just be something that we actually still have to have somebody come out, first thing in the morning when we come through here and drag them down there or something, because there's no way, I don't think you can get it up on that sidewalk as high as it is.
Safe idea. Good.
And if somebody's parked there.
Another thing to think about is we've got a lot of very narrow streets.
Right.
And so that's another thing. I mean, if you
That's
go
what I
down
said, some of
Stevens,
them are.
if you go down Stevens Drive and everybody's putting it 2 feet from the curb, they're all gonna be in the middle of the road.
My next set of questions more about the legalities and the enforcement. The first thing is, when you read the ordinance, people have asked me, will their water bill be cut off if they don't pay their trash bill? And the ordinance speaks to that for a state law. And I looked up that state law, but that state law it talks about water, it doesn't talk about trash. So that state law may no longer apply to the trash. Research that and make sure that it does. I thought it was very vague. It spoke to water, but not to trash. I know they're combined on the bill and they get the water legally. Yeah.
And the ordinance does state that, if you have water and sewer and sanitation is.
Well, that's what I said, but the state law reference doesn't say that. That's what my concern.
Well, if you took $13 off of your water bill because they are combined, they're not gonna know that you're not paying your water bill.
I understand.
I mean, they're gonna put that toward water. I mean, that's no different than not paying, $10 or $15 note now. We would still cut it off because it's all.
Yeah, I understand that. I just wanted to make sure that.
Right.
And people need to know they cannot opt out of it. People are talking about that. They think they can opt out of it. Can you clarify that?
Right, no, you can't. If you're in the city limits, and you get water, sewer from the city, then you
It
are.
does have to be water and sewer, it's water, and you specify.
Right.
Because some people don't have sewer, but still have water and trash pickup from you.
You need to rewrite your ordinance.
Yes, because I thought of that the other day. Because where I live, I don't have sewer,
Right,
but I'm still in the city limits and I still have city water,
right.
so.
And-
Brian, are you gonna research this more?
I can, I'll make, on that. The law that it references is very, very vague, like a paragraph.
Did you get a contract for these people, this company? I know it's $61 for the first 100 that you've ordered. My question is, have you spoke with him? Like, if we done a big bulk, could we get it for a certain amount, or is it just every 100's gonna be a different price?
Well, it just depends on the price of the polymer, at the time. So when I first got the bid, it was 65 a can, and now it's 61, so it's went down a little bit since I started with. And it also does depend on the amount that you buy. So like if we were to buy more at one time, I would say it would be cheaper. How much, I don't know. Cents, it could be $10, I don't know. But he said it just really, it'll fluctuate. So he said you might get 100 for 61, say, and then like you may get 100 for 65. So a lot of it is petroleum prices, I believe, is petroleum based. So I believe that's what he told me was a lot of it was on those prices. So.
And the final concern I have is something I've already talked to Keisha about. Any, you'll know this, you might not have realized it applied. If we have any sort of fee, like the price of the additional trash cans or bags. We have to do all this. And the comptroller's office can clarify that. We're setting additional fees.
Okay, so you're saying that the ordinance that is passed is not sufficient.
Well, it doesn't have his, like, the additional price for the second set of bags or the second set of. That's an additional fee.
So do you suggest doing a whole new ordinance, put those fees in?
I wouldn't think you'd have to. I just think you'd have to just do an ordinance with fees like you do water caps and stuff like
Do an amendment to the regional ordinance.
that. That ain't how it will work. Not a separate one.
Amendment to the regional ordinance. To the trash ordinance? Is that what we're referring to?
Yeah, and you, I guess you could also put in the water and sewer, or water or sewer.
I felt like if we didn't, I knew we had to do that. Can't just, yeah, we do. Especially.
Right, and I mean, like I said, anything like this. I'm sure there's a lot of loopholes that they smart.
And one more thing, just back to what you just said. If they have it 1 week, they're not going to be considered. They're 2 weeks. They're not going to be considered. But after a month, you're going to pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, if you're habitually doing it, which I'm thinking, in my mind, that's about a month, I'm just guessing. But the garbage guys, I'm kind of leaving it up to them, the driver, because he's gonna know who's doing it all the time.
What about those folks that bring in waste, contract construction?
That's not allowed.
Yeah, we're not,
But
we've never,
if you have that situation, how do you handle it?
they would have to take it to either resource authority or something like that. But I will say, once it's in that can, if we ever get the truck, once it's in that can, you're not gonna see what's in there. Or anything.
So if they're complying with that part of it. Okay.
More likely, we wouldn't know. I mean, we might now because the guys are still on the back doing it manually. Once the truck's in place and everything, eventually, I don't even think you notice it, but I don't, it just depends on if it fell out or something. If they're complying with the lid closing and everything.
So,
likely you would know it.
so right now, though, if they're doing what they traditionally do, put it out the road.
Correct.
Your ordinance basically states that what we're picking up as a city, it is standard household trash.
But I know sometimes it gets picked up. That's what
Right.
I see it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just wanted to address that. That would stop. If they were still doing it, you might have a problem with people that do it.
And
What is your suggestion for things like, over on Old 31E, there's a sofa that's been sitting there quite a while now.
Well,
I've had it put before it's posted. What is your suggestion for things like that?
well, the ordinance just speaks to brush and stuff going out to the road. I don't want people putting trash or anything out. I mean, they just have to be notified that they have to take it somewhere for our code. I'm sure that's a code violation. Or for those kind of things.
The sofa you're talking about, is it on somebody's property? Is it just dumped off the truck on the side of
It's
the road?
right at the side of the road, and actually, it's my opinion, totally guessing that whoever moved out of their apartment moved it out there and left. And there's nobody there to go to except for the home.
So it is on a property? It is on a property then, or is it not?
Brenda, I know you've seen it. How close to the street is it?
It's on the right side. I know we had a back on City Park Road for a while that was off in the ditch. It wasn't on anybody's property.
I mean, if you couldn't get nobody claiming, I guess we'd have to pick it up, dispose of it in some fashion. especially if it was on the right of way.
That's who's responsible for it. Right. I mean, if they get renters moved out, that's so bad. I mean,
Well,
I'm
but
still
then
their
that's
property.
a codes violation.
Exactly.
That's not a trash
No.
violation.
I'll ask a question. Once you buy a trash can, you own the trash can, correct?
Correct.
So if they move out, it was more than trash can goes with them, correct? Okay, I asked me that. Okay. Unless they are a renter and their person who
Landlord.
their landlord bought it, then the landlord owns it.
Right.
Okay. Wanna make sure.
But if the renter takes it with them.
That's between them.
That's between him and the landlord.
But the next person would have to purchase a new one. Or the landlord would have to purchase.
Why you?
Take a deposit on the trash can.
Right.
Or if you're buying a trash can and you're planning on moving in the next 4 months, you just leave your trash can and use it as a plus for your selling, as a selling.
Hey.
That'll work.
Does Doug or Mr. David have any questions?
I do actually have a question.
Okay.
The, right now, the ordinance says that until all residents have the 96-gallon can, residents will be allowed no more than 5 bags of trash. And I know we talked about that a little bit ago. Is that still part of the ordinance?
I believe so.
Okay. So, would it be possible to think about the residents that, well, up until they get the actual can, I don't know, it's very hard to actually limit the amount of trash that we're asking our residents, until we can actually make sure that all residents do have a 96-gallon can. That's kind of a concern that's kind of come to my attention. I had a citizen call me earlier today and was very concerned about the 5-bag trash can, a 5-bag trash limit. And until we can actually impose the actual unit that's going to hold the trash, it's really kind of hard in my mind to enforce a limit of trash bags until we have a vehicle of a container established in our city.
But doesn't the 2 cans occur right now too for your own 2 cans?
Yeah.
Not
I
of
mean,
your,
if you have 2 cans.
Whether they're 96 or not, if I can fit my trash in 2 cans,
Correct.
and it can be more than 5 bags, as long as it fits in my cans.
As long as it fits in the 2 96-gallon.
96.
Okay.
Are the 2 typical cans.
Okay, that's your typical cans currently, and I can get more than 5 cans, 5 bags in the.
Like some people have smaller cans that are still typical carts. They're same as the 96 gallons, they're just smaller. I mean, if you have those, you can still use those. That's just not what we're offering.
Okay.
And the reason why I went with the 96 gallon was because it would give you the most that you can get in it. It's the bigger can for people that have a lot more trash. You know, and also if you don't have a lot of trash, you're definitely gonna get it. Whereas if I would have went with the smaller cans, and also once you go with the truck, the sidearm truck, I don't know if it'll fit around a smaller can.
So Doug, what you're asking is, should we enforce the 5 bag limit right now?
Yeah, that's the major concern. And I believe there's a lot of confusion right now with the citizens about what that looks like. I've got a 96-gallon trash can. It's the best one I've had. And I can fit some days, 8, 10, maybe not 10, but 8. I'm pushing it, 30-gallon trash bags in that receptacle. And it's just going to be really tough to put that limitation on citizens until we have established the trash can that citywide, the 96 gallon trash can citywide. It's kind of tough to do that in my mind.
Well, the reason why I put the 5 bag limit on there is because if I didn't, there's gonna be a bunch of people that would never, they would keep throwing 20 and 30 bags out there and never buy a can at all. And I put the 5 bag limit on there to hopefully encourage people to purchase a can sooner.
Yeah.
Rather than putting it off. And that's the reasoning behind me putting that on there.
Yeah. How many have been purchased so far?
Is your question.
Probably close to 30 so far.
Okay.
But we have a lot of people on a list to call them when the trash cans get here, and then they'll come and buy it.
You don't limit your bags, so. You got, like you said, 20, you got people bringing it in from outside the city. I mean, I've watched people do it before, and that's where if you don't, how many people regularly, like you can come back here,
Right.
back, I mean, I've seen 15, 20, okay.
My
So you got
household,
2 cans?
I've got 3, and there 2 of them are small, and I have a bigger one, but I'm gonna be honest, I probably have 8 or 9, sometimes 10. It depends who's all at home, and I have a family of 5.
Yeah.
And that's where we're getting a big concern from the citizens as well. I've had citizens call and say, I have 5 people in the household, I have 5 kids plus me and my husband, and we have at least 10, 12, 13 bags of trash a week is coming out. So, it just depends, like if you got diapers coming out, or you got, everybody's household's different. Some people cycle, some people don't, so.
It is different. I just know there are people that bring it from outside. I've seen that. They live outside the city, and so if there's not a limit on it, they just keep bringing, and we're paying for outside city trash.
Right.
I don't know about 5 bags, maybe it should be 10, but there are some that's more than 10.
Right. Do we, if we're gonna amend the ordinance for the fee, we want to amend the limit to maybe 10
And then they would be charged additional.
after 10? That's only temporary. And
I think that's where I'm at is just trying to think. I know, we have a lot of people coming in and bringing trash everywhere, and we have a lot of trash that's being produced. I just wonder if 5 bags, if we could look at an alternate number to begin to put this into effect kind of slowly, because we're not asking everybody until February of 2022 to purchase the 96 gallon cans. Correct?
Right.
Well, that's when everybody should have them.
Right. Okay, gotcha.
And on the purchase them now, but that's when it's mandatory, you have to have it by then.
So mainly you're wanting a limit. The reason you're putting the limit is to try to get people to buy the can. So
Right,
if we upped it to 10, we're still giving a limit. Would
right.
that be okay? Like from you, what is your thought there?
10 bags is a lot of trash, when you're throwing it.
I get that.
I think maybe the people that do it,
Most of the time, correct.
Well, the thing about it is, does it not read that if it goes in that 96 gallon can, it doesn't matter how many bags?
Right.
Correct.
The bag limit is basically what people are sitting on the ground.
Correct.
So right now, the bag limit is the issue because people don't have the 96 gallon trash can.
Correct. But if they would buy the can, yeah, right, and if they would buy the can, then they wouldn't have a bag, they wouldn't have a bag.
Right.
And that's kind of why I set the bag limit at 5. Gary's been on the truck, he can speak. When you're throwing thousands of bags of trash all day, it's rough, ain't it?
Well, when you pull up to a stop and step off of that rail, and there's, you you talk number of bags, well, you've got, like you said, 13-gallon bag, 10-gallon bag, 5-gallon bag, 7-gallon bag. But, my favorite one was when you have this, Walmart bag or Mike's grocery bag, and you got about 50 of them sitting there.
Yeah.
And you've got to pick them up one at a time, or try to get 2 or 3 at a time, and
throw 'em
hope
in.
whatever Zoom doesn't bust. I think that was what the aim that he was shooting for here. And, I mean, you still, I think it's gotten a lot better just the council talking about it and the word getting out. But, if you pull up and let's say you got a 13-gallon bag and you have 18 or 19 of them there. Yes, you're right. 10 really doesn't hit it at that point, but, 5 definitely gets, it's a talking point at this time. 10, I don't know how much attention that it has gained and how much it's made, how much difference that it's made on the route itself, for the past month.
None.
People are mad.
Honestly, none. I think it might have made it a little worse this
People are
week.
doing that fight.
They are. They are.
Because our dump fee was $700,
There's no
and that's a record.
No, it doesn't.
We've never had over 600 on one truck.
If you said 5 bag limit, they can get 2 trash
I
cans.
didn't think
Put in
so.
their trash.
I wrote
All day long.
Well, and this is what's up, how many city of Grant.
Right, right.
It does say, I want to say you're talking about the poundage earlier. It does say in excess of 50 pounds or having a volume of 30 gallons. So it states both.
Right.
So their bags are not supposed to be bigger than 30 gallons.
So if you got 10 30-gallon bags of 50 pounds, that's 500 pounds you're picking up. at
Right, I just wanted to
one stop.
get that known. When people are asking about what size bags they can use, it states 30-gallon bags.
Right.
Right, but some people
No more than 50 gallons.
Some people think they can use
Contract
construction
bag.
bag, yes.
But it's a whole lot easier to call y'all and let y'all tell me what I can and can't do this. I'll list of this and read through the ordinance myself. That's why y'all get some calls.
Do we want to amend the number of bags?
Mr. Brown, what are you proposing on the bag, sir?
I do think there needs to be a limit, and this is a tough call. I don't know that there's a magic number. I think we have to I think the biggest thing is that I'd like for it to be more detailed and precise about what that bag is, because I'm hearing when the mayor just mentioned those small trash cans, those little small grocery bags, that changes the entire definition of what a bag is. And I think that is for me and as a citizen reading the ordinance, and I try to put myself in the shoes of someone who's just who just was introduced to such ordinance. It really does need to clarify a little bit more about what that is. But I don't really have a proposal about the amount of bags. I know 5 bags is definitely a number that Aaron is trying to get to, so that again it gives incentive to the citizens to buy the 96-gallon can, which I'm not opposed to that at all. I would probably rather just us discuss a little bit more in detail about what the trash bag is, and then we can kind of go from there.
In the ordinance, it states a 30-gallon bag.
Okay.
It's nothing over a 30.
Nothing over a 30-gallon bag. Now, that doesn't say that it can be smaller, so.
Right.
Maybe we need to add a definition in to garbage bag. Corn sacks, paper sacks, or any other type of sack is not accepted.
Maybe.
Is there a 2-can limit now?
Yeah.
Whatever you can get it.
2 cans, right?
And that would.
Before the
Okay, so
96,
these
it still
people
was a
that
2-can
have all
limit
this
before the
independence
96.
Don't have to get a can. If they got 10 laying on the ground, they don't have to get a can. And then they can have those 10. Right?
Yes. But they're in bags.
So if
they're
you
in
leave
their
it at
cans.
5, it's saying you can't have 5 bags over 5 on the ground.
Right, like she's saying, I mean, if you want to have 20 bags of trash, buy the 2 cans and put them in the 2 cans. You know, that's kind of the whole point behind all of this is to get the cans out there. As far as the bags, you know, like Jerry said, there's a lot of people that'll just use grocery sacks. There ain't nothing that'll make you no matter, especially when I rode the trash truck, there wasn't no flipper on it. You roll up to a spot and they had a 96-gallon can
Filled with.
completely full and overrunning with grocery sacks, and you're there all day doing this right here. I mean, it takes you, you know, a long time to get up. And
That's
you
what
can't,
some
yeah,
people
exactly.
Okay, so you can't reach.
Yeah. Yeah.
David, do you have anything to say?
Well, I think we do need to have a limit. I think 5 is too, I think that's too small of a limit. I know when me and Rita are here by ourselves, we generate 2 bags of trash a week. Now, when somebody's here staying the week with us, we may generate 6 bags of trash. So I do think, and I know I've got neighbors that have big families, and I see how much trash they have, and 5 bags would not do for them. So.
But do you use in a can? If you do, you can have more than 5 bags.
I'm sorry.
Do you put your trash in a can? That's what she's asking.
Yes, I do.
So you can have more than you can have as many of fits as your can then.
Yeah.
It's those on the ground.
Okay, I'll make a proposal.
Wait a minute.
I'll split the difference 8. I mean, we're wanting a number, split the difference between 5 and 10 and we'll say 8.
It doesn't work with Eric, I'm sure.
I mean, I get it. Some people are not gonna be happy, but if we're trying to push them toward the cans, and if they get the can, they can have as many as they want, as long as it fits in the can.
But am I gonna be penalized, if I go up there tomorrow and buy 2 cans, from here to where the cans come in, I'm gonna pay the extra because I don't have my
No,
cans?
you can't argue that. No, but you have a 2 can in your can? You said yes. It doesn't matter what size can, I mean, it's.
Well, we've got 2 cans for 13.5. 4 cans for 26.50.
26.50.
So, you know, people, I think, were concerned, they did not know the price. So, as we have discussed it here tonight, if we get the price out, I was gonna make the recommendation that we go ahead and get the ordinance together and go ahead and do it first reading. But I actually think that the discussion that's coming from the citizens is good. It gives us direction. You know, I'd say delay it for another month and let them discuss it more. I don't know of anybody that you got out and said, you've got over 5 bags, we're charging you extra right now. But you have these numbers now that, you know, basically what we're facing here is people that don't want a can, but just want to put their trash on the ground. And one of the whole purposes of this is get the trash off of the ground so that dogs don't get in. There's nothing worse than pulling up to a stop and there's been a couple animals that's got into it. Maybe not even dogs, maybe a possum or something like that. And you'll be at that stop of an extra couple of minutes, just gathering up all the mess and putting it in the truck.
Right.
And another thing, a citizen went around and took pictures of how the trash cans are treated now. And they was really upset how y'all treat their trash can in particular, because they bought and paid for it. It's not a $20-something trash can, it's a high dollar trash can. And he sent me pictures where it's just knocked over, the lid is just leaning and it's just, the lid's propped up from the ground. He even encouraged me to go around. He said, Miss Head, go around and look at, after they do their trash route, he said, go right behind them and look how they throw the trash cans. Now, have I done that yet? No, I have not. But I've seen the pictures that he did do himself and sent to me. Now, I can say for myself, I've not had that problem. I mean, mine's always been set back up. And my neighbors has too, because when I go back out and look, I mean, they're setting up. So I don't know if maybe it's who's working that week on the trash truck, but see, that's what people are getting upset about. If we're gonna go spend more money for these trash cans, they want them to be taken care of.
But there is a phrase in there that says if it's damaged by y'all.
Well, how are you gonna prove that though?
If it's damaged, I mean, we're gonna fix them.
Well, and also it's got a 10-year warranty.
Yeah.
On anything and a 12-year warranty on the body itself. But okay, so I have also addressed all the guys on the garbage truck. Actually, both guys that have been riding the garbage truck for the past few months are gone. Both of them are gone. So it will be new people on the trash truck. And in my interview process, that is one thing that I am specifically saying is if you throw a trash can, I am gonna write you up. I actually talked to a boy the other day because we're so low on help. I need somebody soon. That was one of the first things that I told him. If I catch you throwing a trash can or somebody catches you and I have proof, I will write you up if I don't fire. Now, as far as some cans, if it's windy, if it's a light can, these bigger cans that we're getting now, they shouldn't have this trouble, but a lot of cans that people have now, if the wind blows hardly at all, they're gonna fall over. And also, if your yard is kind of hilly right there or not level, when you go to set it down, even if you just roll it over there and let it go quick, it's gonna fall over, and there's a lot of times you can't help it because I have actually, when I rode the truck, I have actually rolled a can over, set it down, turned around, jumped on the truck. It was still there. We took off and it fell over, and I was already on the truck. And I had that happen several times, so I know it will happen. But if I catch somebody intentionally throwing a can, they will get rid of it. So because that's somebody's property. I mean, one of the guys that is no longer employed here was notorious for throwing people's cans away. I had to buy like 3 cans. And it was because, well, they would get busted. And instead of, he was tired of people and they wouldn't buy a can. I mean, literally it was just the outside of the can one time. There was no bottom in it. And they would put trash in. And so you'd go to dump it, all the trash would fall out of it. So there's 2 or 3 of them he just threw away. So I would go and buy a can because of that. That's something that's gonna be done away with now, with these cans. If you tear the bottom out of one of these cans, you've done something.
So you're proposing 8?
I'm proposing 8. Right now, if we're gonna have a bag limit to push people to buy the can, I'm gonna say 8. Don't disagree, don't disagree with me. I'm throwing a number out there to get us going here.
I disagree. I think it's pretty 5, but I've been out there on the trash truck.
Okay. I get that.
Mr. Leaf, what do you think? 8?
Yeah, I think I'm stuck with 8. I think 5's too low. Just the fact that a lot of the people I know generates a lot of trash. I know it's their own personal trash.
Mr. Brown, what do you think?
I could do 8. Again, it's a number that that we're trying to get to incentivize people to buy a trash can. I can't imagine me putting out trash without a trash can. The amount of dogs that goes up and down Sumner Drive, I'd be out there picking up trash for weeks. So it's hard for me to even fathom why we would, someone would do that, but it is what it is. And I can't put myself in those people's shoes, but I do think we need a set limit. I do 5 may be a little low. 8's probably, a decent number.
So when you all wanna make this 8 bag, limit, when are we write the ordinance when you want it enforced.
We'll just do an amendment to the ordinance, won't we?
Yeah, but when would you want it enforced? I mean, it's like right now, the area is not enforcing 5 bag limit.
I thought it was discussed a while ago, we was gonna wait a month. Who said that? Somebody said wait a month.
That was me.
Okay.
5 on the ground is enough. Now, you have 8, if you get in that trash can, 5 on the ground, a lot on the ground.
That's true.
Right?
In regards to what, when are we going to enforce? I think 5's too low, just simply because we've had so much feedback. Otherwise, I think we should, do a month.
Well, I mean, it'll take that long for you to do the amendment.
Yeah.
And all of that, so.
End of April, we get until, give almost 2 months here.
Yeah, that's fine, I mean, But then there again, that's something that's gonna be flexible if they have like 9 one week, we're not fussing at, right? I don't know.
We can't see your face under your mask, so we're not sure what you're thinking right now.
I mean,
That's the downfall of these masks.
The way the ordinance is right now, it states 5 bags effective, whenever the ordinance was passed, that's when the 5 bags went into effect.
right.
The
Right.
trash
But
can-
we're not. in-
But it's not being enforced.
But
We're saying it's not being enforced.
And the reason,
Why you got the ordinance in, you're not gonna enforce it.
That was my point.
The citizens
reason
were
I
just
haven't
notified last month.
the reason why it hasn't been enforced is because I wanted to give people time to purchase cans. And, that's why I haven't been enforcing anything. But I'm more than happy to start enforcing it today.
I mean, a lot of citizens had no idea about the ordinance at all until the letter went out. I
Right.
got phone calls. I didn't even know a letter went out. I got phone calls and I was clueless about a letter.
The letter went out 2 weeks ago.
I mean, I'm like, take a picture of it, send it to me, because I have no idea what you're talking about. So a lot of citizens didn't have no idea. And then that's when it started right there.
And that's why the letter was sent out, was so that everyone, like, and had a little bit of something to go off of, knew that there was change coming, it's difficult from my standpoint, because I have to deal with both sides. I have to deal with the citizens, and I try to be nice to everybody as long as they're nice to me. And I have guys that I have to worry about making it home and not getting hepatitis or something because they stepped on they grabbed a needle or, anything like that. So I see both sides. I've personally been on the garbage truck. And, so that's what I was thinking when I wrote this, but I was also trying to think of the citizens as far as not being, a jerk, for lack of better words, but, I'm not trying to, penalize anybody. I'm just trying to get something in play. And that's why I kind of set the 5 bag limit or 2 cans, If you got the 2 cans, I don't care if you put 100 bags in them. As long as they'll fit in there and you close the lid. If you want to keep putting your trash on the ground until January of 2021 before you buy a can, then you can only put 5 bags on it. That's the whole thing behind the 5 bags. But as far as enforcing it, I'm ready to do that any day. I was just trying to be generous citizens and not, say, hey,
this was enforced in January, I hated that you didn't know, you know. But, you know, I wear many hats in this city. You know, Gary knows what I go through on a daily basis. You know, this job is not easy. I deal with thousands of people. My phone rings constantly, night and day. My wife hates this job. My wife hates this city because of this job. So I can only speak for me and my family. You know, I wear a lot of hats. I have to be over the streets, the roads. You know, yeah, this came into effect in January. You know, it is my fault that nobody knew about it until now because I should have gotten the letters out sooner. And that's why I hadn't enforced it, because it's been my fault. But now everybody knows. If everybody wants me to enforce it tomorrow, I'm game for that. I mean, I can be lenient or I can be tough. I don't care either way, but if y'all want to set a date for me to start doing that, that's totally up to y'all. I'm fine with trying to give people another month or two to get cans, and I'm fine with not. If you just let me know what you want, and I'm, you know, I'm here to
I mean,
serve.
I'm hearing your side of 5 bags. I get it. 5 bags on the ground is a lot. If I throw at 8, I'm not totally sure that 5 is little, but then again, that's really gonna push them to buy their cans. And that's our point. I'm playing both sides.
And there's
I see
nothing
both
to
sides.
amend then, right?
What'd he say?
Do what?
Can you repeat that?
There's nothing to amend then if we're gonna leave it at 5, is that right?
If we do, if we leave it at 5, there's nothing, that part doesn't have to be amended, no.
I think you have a good ordinance. It was written with good intentions. I think the citizens were just blindsided about it, even though it was written in October. No, a lot of times you don't think about, I'm gonna say citizens don't listen to these meetings a lot. You have some people that it's like a religious experience for them. They tune in and listen. And there's other people that don't realize, you know, it's like both day. I've been talking to citizens about us raising the taxes in the next budget year so we can pave some streets. And my first question is, well, how much did you raise taxes last year? And I said, taxes weren't raised last year. Well, yeah, they went up. Well, your county taxes did, but your city taxes did not. They just kind of look at you. Sometimes you wonder what's going through their mind, if they think you're lying to them or if you're being honest. But you know, I was going to ask Darren if he wants to continue or if he wants to take a break here.
No, I'm fine. It's up to y'all. I'm good.
I mean, you still got a lot of very, we're going to talk about this dumpster ordinance. We're going to be talking about potholes and streets and paving. I know we usually stop about 8 o'clock and take a 5-minute break or so.
Can we just go ahead and make a decision what we're gonna do about this before we take a break? Are y'all leaving it at 5? Are you going to 8?
I'm gonna, no, this is me trying 5, and we give them to the end of April. And we start enforcing at the end of April, give them another month and a half. That's, so I, kind of long, but still, give them a little bit longer.
I'll go back to the original dilemma. It's all about communication. I don't know that, 5 is going to make a difference. 8 is going to make a difference. We're talking about 3 more bags, but I don't think we should quabble over the amount of bags. I think the reality is if we give them more time to understand this ordinance, then I think we can enforce after that time has passed. So I agree with Chandler there. I think that's a good point. We give them more time and then we can begin to enforce late spring, early summer, something like that.
So I do think there's some amendments to be made, some wording. So maybe we'll change a little bit of work, like on little things, but I think
There's
that would be
several
all.
things that need a little tweaking, you
Yeah,
know.
a little more clarification on some
Right.
things, but I think the basics are there.
So what month till the citizens will know?
May 1st. That's, or April 30th, whichever. I'm just.
May first is an easy number.
Yeah, we've got some direction there, so.
Huh?
We've got some direction there, May first.
May 1st.
Mr. Brown, you okay with May first?
I like that idea. Yes.
Mr. Lees, are you okay with May first?
Yes. Yes, I'm okay with it.
I'm okay with May first.
You go with that, Brad?
May first.
And I think really the other big question was the cost of the cans and the reason that it says the prevailing rate. When we place an order, we don't have a contract as such, so, I mean, if we had $60,000 to fork out to buy all of them at one time, it'd be great, you know?
All right.
I think that was a big part of the citizens' concern.
Right.
And here's a question that just came to my mind. Okay, so I started enforcing this May 1st. There's a 5-bag limit. Somebody has came and purchased 2 cans, they're bought and paid for. The cans haven't came in yet. They've got 15 bags on the ground. If we come up to their house and Jackie writes their address down and he gives it to me, I'm gonna go to City Hall and say, hey, this address right here, have they purchased cans yet? If they have not, then that's when I'll have a talk. Just
Yes.
because I kind of figured that.
If they have can order, they can't help it. Right. It's kind of like us and our signpost, like, we can't help it if we don't have that sign.
Right.
I'm gonna give you credit. You're talking like you're gonna be very, like you're gonna talk to citizens before you.
I'm big on talking to people.
I get that. I'm glad you
Yeah.
are.
I
So,
try not to be
I
one
commend
of
you for
those
that.
people that don't lay the hammer down before you get to talking to them.
Just next time when y'all send out a letter to 955 people, let them read it before it goes out.
Absolutely.
Please,
Absolutely.
Sorry about that.
please,
I was surprised. Yeah.
the phone.
Okay, let's switch gears here. We're gonna let that ride for just a little while and go May first and see what other changes we wanna make. And we can make those and add those in without too much trouble. Do we want to have a spring cleanup day?
Yes.
Yes.
I was actually going to suggest that. And do
Beat
your,
you.
yes, you did, and suggest putting it around the May 1st, April 30th date. And kind of do a kickoff,
We're gonna enforce the ordinance. Here's the cleanup day. Give us all your stuff that you want to get rid of. Now,
Yeah.
only 2 cans or 5 bags.
The date that I had picked up was April 10th.
Okay.
but I think that would be another good way to get the word out.
Now, one reason I had asked you that. And then your current.
How many dumpsters are you proposing?
3. That's what we went with last year. Did well with that. And it will be at the city lake. Same as last year, not at Public Works building. I know there was a little bit of confusion on that last year. We'll be at the city lake and 12 o'clock.
What's your start time?
8.
8.
Yeah.
And just so we can make it clear while we're on video, inside.
City limits only, inside the city limits only. And I will have somebody there too.
And also that people.
They can call City Hall. If they have no way to get it there, they can call City Hall, make a work order. As
And
long as it's not a big pile of brush.
it's
you
the
know.
same rules as no batteries, no paint, no tires.
Correct.
So we have our first agenda item for tonight.
Oh. We-
Okay, let's talk streets, man.
All right. I thought we were.
I thought we were like,
We'll take a break. Okay. Let's take a, what y'all want, 5, 10?
I mean, Keisha, who is that in the blue?
Okay, we're recording
Is
again.
everybody back?
Nope.
Let's see.
yep, there it is.
Yes,
Well, Mr. Doug's not.
well, maybe.
There he is. All right.
Okay. Carry on, sir.
Did everybody get my work study report and all that? I just emailed it like right before I got up here. And I really, I apologize again. So, yeah, I knew Jerry wouldn't get it because he was already here. I'm sure.
He sent it at 5:03.
Yeah,
Okay, I didn't get that.
yeah, I'm sorry.
It's okay, I'll look at it when I get home.
It'll be on your email when you get home. But water loss is 41.178. It's still higher than I want it to be. We have found several leaks. We fixed, 5 leaks. Since this date, this is from 15th. So since the 15th, we have also fixed some more leaks. So I'm really hoping that must go down. And I also found that we had a leaky valve at Branchford, so it was letting the water, pumping the water all day up to the tanks. And then at night when the pumps would kick off, the valve was leaking, so it was going back to Branchford and filling the clear well up and overflowing. And so that happened for a few days. I'm not sure how much I lost because there's no way to meter it. I did lose some, so we're working on it constantly. Getting some help will free up some guys to be able to work on more stuff and find more leaks. There for a little bit, Jackie had found several leaks and we had repaired several. And we're still looking constantly and trying to find some. We're definitely trying to be on top of it as best as we can. We did have a sewer pit or a sewer pump go out in the basement of Dutch Creek Station. Now, council had approved for me to go ahead and purchase a pump for the basement. And I took a gamble. I had a 50-50 shot. We got 4 stations. They got 2 different pumps in 2 different stations. I took a gamble and I gambled wrong. So I bought the pump for the stations that normally goes out. And of course, that's not the one that went out. So I don't have the pump on hand like we had planned. Little is supposed to be getting me a price. He has not got back to me yet. That went out during all this rain. 5.6 inches of rain in 2 days. We was out several hours. Charles had 74 and a half hours overtime, or not overtime, but 74 and a half hours because he was the guy on call that week, not counting how many hours I had, and Jackie had 10. We didn't get a lot of sleep all this week or last week. Today, it's finally starting to slow down a little bit. We still got 27 or 8 pits that are unhooked. Simply because I don't have the manpower to fix the controller to get it hooked back up. So Shane and I were the only 2 that weren't on the garbage truck today. We didn't get finished cycling pits until 12:45. And that's when we took lunch. We didn't take a break all day or nothing. We didn't even come in City Hall. We cycled pits from the time we started this morning until 12:45. This is the most pits we've ever had unhooked since I've been here. From what I hear from Chris, this is the most we've had since the 2010 flood. When that water hit, it hit fast and hard. Jackie, I think, was actually at the mayor's house, talking to him, and Charles came down the road, and about not long after that's when the rain really hit hard for the first time, and then it was on after that. You know, we had a lot of overtime, so that'll be on there. We had a lot of overtime this week still. Cody quit Monday after he came in and he seen that Charles had 74.5 hours overtime. He said that he wasn't gonna work that much. And he was on call this week, so he let me know Monday after the garbage route that he was done, so he left Monday. So that put me down 3 guys. But we're making it. But just kind of letting y'all know where we're at right now. I did interview a guy. Would really like to go ahead and bring him on full time. He was the first application I had, and he's been bugging me for 2 months now, I think, about trying to get a job. So I went on and interviewed him and everything. Jerry and I had spoke about maybe bringing him in under emergency until it, I guess it could be voted on. So we didn't read meters last month due to the snow, because that's the week that we read meters was the week that we had all the snow and ice. We wouldn't have been able to find them even if we had the time, but we didn't have the time with cleaning the roads. And also we didn't have a full crew here either. We don't have any taps on backlog. We're all caught up on taps. And I can't think of anything else.
What is this gentleman's name?
Caleb Gray.
When did you say the deadline for application?
What was,
It's,
I think it was 3 weeks or so.
yeah, like 2 weeks from tomorrow, because we're running it in the paper this week and next week, and then the following Friday will be when the deadline.
Can we start someone before that deadline? Is that acceptable?
I think the mayor can put somebody on for emergency.
Well, this was only for 2 positions that we could advertise for, because at that time that we went with advertisement, that I had only had 2 positions open. But since then I had Cody quit. And that's what Gary and I talked about, trying to bring somebody on under emergency, and that's what we were doing.
We're down.
That's just the one, right?
Just the one. The other 2 would be through, well, I'm gonna wait until all the applications are in.
And then that one is still subject to council approval, and I pretty much told him, you know, council is the only one that has to be authority. But his recommendation and the interviews that he's done, with 3 openings, you're gonna have to get some help, and you need to get them quick.
Oh, has he been hired
Not
temporarily?
yet. I was gonna try to bring him in Monday. I wanted to kind of wait till the night to talk to everybody. But I did go on. I went on and sent him for the drug test. He turned all his paperwork into Keisha.
Yeah, his background check is processing right now, so.
And he was supposed to get a physical.
And he's never been employed here before?
You can start him just sending back.
Well, actually, I think he was starting before that, intended background.
Right.
I think the drug test.
The drug test and the, I just say it, physical. The physical is the main thing, because they don't want somebody that's not fit. As far as prior to, and he's still gonna be under the 6-month probationary period. Claim it's gonna. I like that.
He got experience or?
He's young. He's I think he graduated with your son.
Yeah, I just.
Do you want him to go
Full time, because I need somebody badly. I was gonna at first bring him in as part-time, but Jerry said it'd probably be better to bring him on full-time, and I understand what he's saying now, because for one, we got the 6-month probation, and for 2, I need the help.
us three, if you brought him part-time and you got him with the job, he might have to leave. Kind of playing the odds on it.
I'm okay with it.
I'm okay with it.
I'm good.
Mr. Lee? I can't hear you.
You're muted.
Yes, I'm okay with it.
Mr. Brown?
I'm good.
Thank you.
Thank you. The Henry Harris Road, up to the top of the hill, I did get a quote for Rogers Group to pave that just to the top of the first hill. And I don't know, well, I mean, if you looked at the paper, it's on the front page of the paper. But it's terrible. We had to go out there. I thought that I was gonna have to close the road down, but I was actually able to dig it out, and fill it with gravel and get it where it's passable. But it's just, from the rain and the snow and everything else, and pretty in bad shape, but I mean, it's terrible. Along with several other roads. We're gonna have to do something. We're gonna have to borrow the money, steal the money. We're gonna have to do something.
We gonna steal them.
These roads, there's some of them that are turning into gravel, and there's nothing I can do to stop it. I mean, especially after this freeze and snow and everything. I mean, they were already bad, but I mean, literally now they're like going down some Macon County roads are better than ours, you know, and that's sad because a lot of theirs are gravel. You know, and I don't know, you know, if what you have to do, but you know, it's getting bad. Ballpark Road going down to the sewer plant. Once you get to the T-ball field, it's all right from there up to Austin or Pleasant Grove. But once you get down past that, it's got, I mean, it literally is a gravel road from there on. There are several other roads. I've got a list in my truck that I rode around. There's several spots that once we get the weather and we can get time, we're gonna try our best to patch them, and do what we can for them. But a lot of it, I mean, there's nothing that you can do for a spot that's as big as that table. I mean, we don't have the equipment to patch that. So that's something that needs to address, I don't know what you need to do.
For Henry Harris?
Yes, and that's $7,600. And that's while they're here. If they come back and do it, it'll be more than that. But if they do it while they're here doing 031 and Sumner Drive, that'll be the price.
And when are they gonna do that?
Somewhere around the end of this month. First of next month, somewhere around that.
They could wait just a little while. We don't want the first material out of the batch.
Right.
The polymers that are in that, you know, the heat chemically activates a lot of it and wait till they've got a, you know, it'd be nice if they paid, of course, they gotta start somewhere, but, it's my preference if we can let them pay 2 or 3 other roads before they get there.
During the flooding, did you identify some ditches? Work?
There are some ditches that I know we got to get cleaned out from just where all the water came and it rusted in. And there's other ditches that, you know, literally, we really didn't have enough time to do nothing other than, all we was focusing on was finding the sewer that was home. And there was a lot of water. I mean, there was water coming from places I've never seen water come from. If you drove down past Jerry's house on Austin P, right there where Moreland Circle comes off, there was so much water coming off of Moreland Circle, it wasn't even in the ditches, it was just coming down the road. and the water was about that deep at the bottom when it hit off the feed. And, you know, it was a lot of water that came down just quick. And, but yes, we do know we got a lot of ditches that need to be cleaned out. And I think, you know,
You gotta get staff.
I don't have the manpower to do it, not with everything we've been dealing with.
And right now, honestly, sewers are main focus.
Right, keeping the sewer up and going and not letting it overflow is my number one priority, and that's all. And I hadn't sat down at my desk all week until about 4:15 today. That's the first time I've been at my desk. I ain't even been putting my water readings in the computer or nothing. I go get them, write them on paper, put them on my desk. I got a stack of them that I still haven't been able to get in. So I mean,
How close are you?
Water loss plan as in the, to the state for the comptroller's office. Yeah. Actually, I've already got a letter. There's a few things that I have to go in and change, but, I've already got a response from them, just depending on what their, what they send us.
If they lose it. They've not officially sent.
No, I've already got a response ready.
We're just preparing for.
Just being proactive.
Yeah, okay, we haven't received.
Once they send the letter, it just depends on what all their letter says. I have to change my response, but, I've already got a basic, letter set up for that.
Can you send us that so we can ask us?
Yeah.
Okay. What else you got?
I think that's all that I have that I can think of.
No, just sit tight for a minute, man. I think that, Logan Dickinson and, Randy Perry possibly may both, be with us now.
They are.
Okay, we're going to discuss the, SCP and all regarding the, consent order that we received from the state. Logan has, been working with Aaron to, try to put a plan together that TDEC will accept. We, paid our first portion or our first installment on fines, last week.
Yes, sir.
And, so, we have, I think it's 30 days now to try to put together, what's called a supplemental environment, plan. And then we have to do the corrective action plan after that. So Logan, is joining us and he's going to, help, kind of walk us through what's happening with that.
Hey, Mr. Mayor, this is Randy Perry. He's on the meeting, but I wanted to talk a little bit first about it. You're right. Logan has put together a program, talked to the state, has gotten a few days of relief from the state, and the order itself is essentially the culmination of violations. There's a 3-phase program that Logan has put together. The first phase is to prepare the supplemental environmental project. That's where the state is requiring Westmoreland to actually put money back into the infrastructure in lieu of a fine. That's the replacement and repair of some sewer service laterals. Logan has put together plans and specs and a cost estimate and a completion schedule. The second part of this is the corrective action plan, which Logan is working on now. That's basically a report or a summary that shows how the town will address the effluent violations and overflows. There's a timeline. It's more of a word or a It's just a document that outlines what the procedure would be. And the third phase would be a capacity management operations and maintenance plan, basically a maintenance program that, well, we would prepare on behalf of the town to send to the state, outlining what's happening now, what we're going to do in the future, and then there's an annual report that goes along with that. So all in all, Logan's done a really good job of pulling this back to the point where it needs to be. Westmoreland has satisfied TDEC, and really that's the good news that came out of bad news. And Logan's here with us now. I'll let him, if you guys have any questions about the actual order, then we're happy to answer those. But Logan's also going to tell you about the treatment plant. So if you guys have any questions, shout them out, or otherwise we'll let Logan go with the treatment plant summary. Go ahead, Logan. Can't hear you. Logan's got technical difficulties. I'll go ahead and tell you about the treatment plant. The plans have been approved, permitted. We have issued the plans for bid. The contractors are putting together pricing, and we're going to have a bid opening next week. So a long time coming, but we finally got to the point where we're actually going to receive bids, review the bids, discuss those with the town, and then once the bids are accepted, award the contract and get moving forward with the construction on the treatment plant. So it's good that we have finally got where we are, and Logan's been a really big part of that. Any questions you guys have, just let us know. I know that it's been a long meeting so far, and we'll answer any questions you got.
When is the bid opening?
The bid deadline. I don't know when the opening is. It big reviewing.
Hey, Logan, are you good now? You chimed in a second ago. Bid opening's Tuesday, isn't it?
That's correct. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that. That's right. Bid opening's Tuesday at 2 p.m.
Or will that be? Is it here?
Go ahead and speak up.
Where's the
Here?
Where will the bid open?
The bid opening? It's at City
Yep.
Hall, isn't it, Logan?
That's correct.
And we do have good contractors that have been putting pricing together. So we're happy about the quality of the contractors that are going to provide bids.
How many contractors do you have right now that's interested?
We've got 7 or 8. I don't know the exact number, but some contractors we are familiar with and we know have done good work, and had a number of questions. A lot of the contractors were very involved, looking pretty closely at the drawings and specs and giving feedback and giving thoughts and opinions on and getting more information to be able to put together good bids. So they've been pretty involved.
It's likely we won't have 7 bids. I think we're going to have 4 or 5 bids. Usually, most of the time, 1, 2, or 3 will drop out or decide not to bid.
Yep.
And we don't have to wait for this meeting to answer any questions you guys have. We're always available. So we certainly do want your feedback for any questions or comments that you might have.
Yeah, I'll say the mayor and I have, and Randy have been talking, I mean, every couple of days, just as the bid has been getting closer. So if there's ever anything that he can help pass forward any of that information or questions, we're talking pretty frequently.
So, Mr. Mayor, that's a summary of what we wanted to present to you tonight, and appreciate your time. If you guys have any questions, let us know. Otherwise, we'll look forward to seeing you on Tuesday.
Okay, so just kind of let me recap here. Some of the things that they've been working on this week is items like the demolition of the old plant, what is there that we need to keep and try to save and salvage. When they dispose of the old plant, how are we going to take care of disposing of all the metal and scrap that's out there? Tell me if I'm wrong, but it's a good point. We don't have the manpower or the equipment to haul all those tanks and to send out all of that metal that they're going to take out of it. So we're probably going to have to make some adjustments as they go through. Most everything in that old plant, other than the building that is there, there's not anything useful in it. OSHA made us put up some new handrails and things like that. We're saving all of those just in case there's somewhere else we could use them. They worked a couple of days making a list of all the items that's sufficient. So that's kind of what we've been trying to wrap up here in the last little bit. We're down to the wire now. I have instructed Logan and Randy both that their priority now is to make sure that that plant gets bid, we break ground on it and get it started. Unfortunately now with the TDEC order, we're going to be pressured into going ahead and maybe taking on some of the collection before I really had it in my master plan to do. It was in the 5-year plan to once we got the plant built and could start disposing of the waste, then we would go to work on what we could do to collect it. Unfortunately, we've been delayed in getting the plant built, so the collection system is suffering just like the plant did. So that will be some major decisions, but we started out with this original fine being 100 and I think it was 188, 189,000. And TDEC has reduced it now to 138,000. But rather than just write them checks for fines, I want to put that back into our system so we can do needed upgrades on it. They're very specific about what they will accept and what they won't accept. They want only new projects, and it's supposed to be a 2-for-1 match, as you will, for the project being started and completed. There are lots of things in the order, and all of you have a copy of that order that are stipulations if timelines are not met, what the like there's one, it's an $800 per day fine for what you don't get done if you said you're going to do it. So you can look over those if you have questions. We'll discuss those some more, and we're moving ahead with it. We've got to. So.
What do you mean by the 2? I was reading that. That's one question.
When I first read it, I thought it was 2-for-1 on the project. Like if we had a 100, let's say $130,000 fine, 2-for-1, making the project 260,000. But I don't think that that is quite what they have come up with. They're working very closely with, TDEC is calling all the shots on what they're gonna take forward. And Logan have spent quite a bit of time out researching problem areas, and TDEC has agreed to accept replacing the laterals, which it very much surprised me because usually they would not allow you to replace it. And to be something totally new going in. So like I said, we're still working with that, and Logan and Randy's trying to make sure they keep the cost down where it's affordable for us, because we're working on this treatment plant right now, and we don't know at this point exactly what kind of funding that we're going to have. Obviously, they're looking to see if there's possibly any grants, but if we get into any kind of grants, then they're looking at it as you're rehabbing your system. We don't want to give that appearance. We are trying to make our system better. That's the purpose of the whole thing. For the goal for all of us is to make it better, where it's safer for our citizens. It's more beneficial as a collection system. A lot of people don't understand when you use the word sewer, they just think of the waste. Well, the treatment plant is an entity in itself that treats sewage and the waste. The collection system is what takes it from the house to the plant. So when you're new at it, you're not familiar with the terminology, you don't think of what's necessary, but it's actually two different items. Westmoreland is small enough that our water and sewer system, even though we keep it separate on our books, it is it's all basically one fund, but we keep it separate and do the bookkeeping separate, which is probably going to be required by law sometime in I'm going to guess the next couple of years, because they've been talking about it for 2 years. So as we move into the realm of updating these laterals, hopefully it's going to be very, very beneficial. And I just wanted to add that in, see if y'all had any questions, and while we got the engineers on the call here, ask them. You know, you're open to ask them anything you want to. Just
I don't have any questions. You answered everything I wanted to talk about.
I think I stumped them, Randy.
Thank you, Mayor.
We do appreciate your and Logan's help and all that you've done to push this through. We will definitely, if there's no other questions, if Aaron doesn't have anything, we will see you on Tuesday.
All right. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, everybody.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Anything else?
Not for me.
Go home, sleep, have fire.
Want to do the dumpster ordinance?
Yeah, let's talk about the dumpster ordinance. It's up for second reading. Is anything that we want to discuss on that?
I'm the one that had it put up here like you held off. Keisha provided the financial statement. Everybody else saw those. And I wanted to when you talked about that the fees were going up, rapidly, and they were doing more and more. Dumpster put more and more trash. And then last month you spoke about the safety that our current truck couldn't safely handle. So to me, that trumps everything, regardless if it's feasible to do it or not. But I think there's some logistics about it that we might want to look at before we implement it. And you said, you know, we've got some time to implement it. Because I know that, like some of the businesses here on Park Street have trash cans that they're paying dumpster fees. Well, they're going to do something to replace it with, like you talked about earlier. We had to figure out a centralized location and cans. Because, you know, they're paying dumpster fees. But I wasn't certain we needed to, but after you talked about the safety of it.
Yeah.
That's where I am.
As far as when we do away with it is what my plan was at the time that the new budget comes out. If we get it approved this month, we send everybody a letter next month that has dumpsters, and give them time to get a new service. Somebody else started, that way they're not, you know, caught off guard, and then, you know, let them know, you know, hey, come live, you know, you need to have another service.
But those folks that are doing trash pickup that live in dumpster service, that was the thing to me too. I guess it's just time to start the conversation now. We learned our lesson on the trash. Let these people know that if they've got a unique situation or a circumstance that we need to address, now, so we can get those answers before we have.
And there has been a couple of the people that talked to me about that have dumpsters, they're the smaller dumpsters, and they were gonna just replace them with cans, with 4 cans instead of having a 4-yard dumpster.
But they would meet the same requirements.
Correct.
And you do have a commercial rate for those cans. I really don't know why they're listed in as dumpsters, because they're not dumpsters.
I know, that's what I was surprised to see them. But that's where I stand with it. Thank you. We've got to learn our lessons and get the communication out there.
So you're looking at like July 1st. Give them till, yeah.
Because that way it's not gonna affect this year, the budget, the current budget. And then we won't have any money coming in, so we can be prepared that that money's not gonna be.
And the ordinance does specify June the 30th, 2021 is final date.
You know, you mentioned the budget. That or another point I have. That money not coming in because of not having a dumpster. That will possibly impact the payroll. Displacement.
I think I think it's gonna offset itself by not having the extra time and the extra dump per week, plus wear and tear on the truck.
Okay, so that would be time.
Correct. That, you know, that's gonna, should cut our garbage half day versus a full day. And, that's gonna help, you know, it'd be a half a day that they're not actually gonna be on the garbage truck.
So potentially their pay would more percentages of pay come out.
Well, I don't think that would make a change because, correct me if I'm wrong, but like if if my pay comes out of sanitation, then I'm always paid out of sanitation. But if my pay comes out of water, I'm always paid out.
Right.
Is that the way it comes?
Yes, and there's only one person paid out of sanitation, one employee.
Okay.
Even though there may be 3 on the garbage
It's
truck
been done
every week.
reason I ask, it's been done 100 different ways.
That was another question I had.
That was all
Trash
about.
work.
Moving them around like that, if.
I want to make sure nobody, everybody's looking at
It
you.
sounds like that's simple.
And honestly, it's my opinion that several of these businesses said, and other nonprofits and entities too, will go with the trash cans, and it's.
Can I please make a recommendation?
Yes, ma'am.
Whatever letter goes out, please share it with the mayor, let him sign off on it, you and him together. And then share it with the council, scan it in, email it.
So we don't.
I believe, I'm gonna try to handle every reason on what it is. I'm gonna try my best to handle every these, so I.
So they're like,
Yeah, well, most of the businesses are already asked.
Yeah,
okay.
there, I drove the garbage truck the other day. After the snow, I drove the next week and helped get caught back up, and they were asking me about it. As soon as it gets,
I can put it on the agenda.
approved,
For the second reading.
Yeah, for the second.
as soon as it gets approved, I'll go ahead and get it. I'm not doing nothing until it's approved.
Did David or Doug, do you have any questions about the dumpster ordinances?
No, I'm good with it.
I do
Most
not.
of it. Go ahead, Doug.
I do not. No, I think I'm pretty clear on everything.
All right. And I got a couple questions for you. It's question time, sorry.
Are you serious?
Go ahead.
Just breathe.
I'm joking.
No, I'm serious. Hold on, I gotta put my place on the notes. You're gonna potentially be hiring 3 new people. In the training that these people have, is there programs or classes that they will take for safety or some sort of something? Or do you just
Not
kind of go?
currently. Not currently. Way we've always done it is train them as they go. But that is something that I have thought about myself, and would really like to do is send people to like an OSHA class, just to go through basic safety,
Well,
ditch
see,
safety. And
That's
things
what
like that.
I'm talking about. Some of the terms I shared with you the last week. Where I work, there's certain safety courses.
Right.
We take, and we do them.
Right.
If not weekly. Okay, and so we thought those violations were back of our mind. And it was embedded into what we do. And I'd like to see something like that happen. with Your guys, things like always wear your vest, always wear your goggles, don't be on your phone when you're driving, and figure out a way to just, you once a month, sit down with them, a few minutes, and we're gonna talk about this today, and we'll talk about that. Right. And I think some of it escapes them because they are doing it.
Right.
And document. We can know whether it be computer or something. OSHA does come, they ask you if you have a safety. You'll have it done. So just get out this notebook, paper, let them all sign it.
Find something like you said.
There's also on the PE Partners website, they have DVDs on a lot of different stuff. We can check out and they'll mail them to us and we can watch them and mail them back. And I'm pretty sure they're free of charge.
So I think that's something we're lacking in, especially for new people coming in with not a lot of people to show them the correct ways.
Right.
You mentioned a program for water tower maintenance. Has that progressed, Jenny?
Actually, we talked about it a little bit, and I had spoke with that guy, and it is extremely expensive. And after talking with Gary about it, he made me aware that our engineering firm that we work with, they already do something. They don't have an actual plan, but they will help us with getting things like that. We need that service. And I have talked with them about that. And, like I said, that's another, one of the things I've been working on is getting all the things to Bryant, to work on that, and also mapping. Which that brings up another thing, that we need to look at, that I would like to try to get in the budget for next year, is trying to get a map of the system. Chris Carter's not gonna be here forever, and he's pretty much our map. You know, if there's something we don't know where it's at, you know, Chris is the first guy I call, you know, so, you know, that's a big thing that I would like to try to get in next year's budget is mapping of the system, and we have been working on that. It's kind of got stalled due to weather and everything and employees and stuff, but, we got a big chunk of it done, but there's still a few things, like I have to count every valve in the city, or in the water system, and the sewer system. So we got a little bit of that done, and we're knocking out, you know. But as far as the water tank maintenance, I think what we're gonna try to do is use our engineering firm, because we already paid them anyway.
Well, there'll be an inspection.
Yeah, we had it done, not this past year, in 19, we had it done in 19, so it'll be coming up 4 years, 4 or 5, I got it written down, I can't remember, but, it's coming up, it is coming up.
But everything's working fine now, the telemetry and all those things that you monitor.
No, the telemetry is working halfway. That's why I was late, because I had to go cut the pumps off. But I cut the pumps on every day, and I cut them off every day. And half of it's working, half of it's not. And he had it all working, and then when the snow hit, it all messed up again. And so he's still working on it, but
You're down to 3 people working, know how to do
okay. And it's not that bad, which most of the time I try to take care of it myself. So, and if I'm not there, Shane will take care of it. But, and that's not too bad, but it is something that has to be done daily.
That's all.
Hey, Keisha, you good?
I'm good.
David, Doug?
I think I'm good.
Y'all work hard. Y'all work hard.
We appreciate it.
Let the guys know, Richmond Council does appreciate all of that, because they've been in this water, doing all that, public works people do, and go, without almost no reward for it, and, they bravely, go into battle each day to do that. Please recognize.
I will, I'll let them know. And, we actually have had a pretty good, outreach from the citizens about, you know, all that kind of stuff.
The snow removal, the snow and ice removal, was it hard on the backhoe, the face of the maintenance issues?
It's the blades on the front, they're not too bad. I mean, it does wear them out, but they're not really expensive. That's something that commonly wears out. But, while we're talking about this, and I would like to get a snow plow for the F-350. It's a brand new truck. We're not spreading salt with it, but I can plow the roads with it. And it's a big, heavy truck. It should last us 20 years, I'm hoping, you know, or more. And if we got a plow for that truck, we wouldn't have to put one on the dump trucks. And
it'd be easier on the road.
And it should be easy, and it'll be easier on like Mill Street, you know, that's a small area. You know, I can get that truck in and out, you know, a lot easier. And I've actually looked at a couple, but then everything else hit. But it's a whole lot cheaper to get one for that truck than it will be for the dump truck as well. And it'll be one that you can take on and off. But I'm gonna work on numbers for that to try to get work in the budget next year.
Okay, and I'll throw a question in. How are we on the salt? I know we've had a lot of salt. Have you used very much of it?
If we have another snow like we did last week, we'll never make it through.
Okay, you used a lot, right?
Yeah, but the odds of that happening are slim to none.
But we're going to, but we're gonna
I
need to
hope it don't
replenish
happen.
for next year's. What
When
you're
are
saying.
you able to replenish?
They'll send us a letter out there in the summer. Right now, there's no salt to be bought. State has priority over everything that is being mined and stuff right now. We couldn't buy it right now if we wanted. But during the summer, we'll get a price. They'll send us a price out and we'll have to purchase it or order it and whenever they get it. But right now, we're still sitting on like we probably use 2/3 of what we had.
Good thing we had that.
Yeah, right.
As I said, we've had excessive amount for
2 years. Yeah, it's actually a good thing that we used it because it was getting really, really hard and we had to break it up, work it with the backhoe for an hour before we could even load the truck with it. So, yeah, we got about 1/3 of it left. So if we had another snow or two, we would be good. But if it hits like that again, we're gonna do a lot more plowing and a lot less spread salt.
You're able to get everything washed up afterward.
Yes,
That's what I was
yeah.
thinking.
We was able to get everything cleaned up and oiled back up. And the dump truck, she's hanging in there by a thread, a rusty thread. But it's holding in there. It broke down on me one day. We had to replace a fitting on the back that had rusted and broke off.
The old truck.
Yes, sir. Rusty. That's but yeah, it hung in there. We was able, luckily, Home Pro had the fitting that we needed, and we got it back going, and they was off the last few days with it. Anything else?
Appreciate everything you've done.
No problem. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Ms. Keisha? Let's start out a real easy one here. One of them within the school.
Okay. Let's see.
Pretty much been taken care of.
I think so. I'd asked the mayor about it a few months ago. Like the school's gonna be building like a new field house. And they were wanting to know if we were gonna charge them a permit fee. And so I asked the mayor how we'd done it in the past, and he said normally we didn't, but we had the in-house inspector. So that's, we didn't charge them. And so he checked with the county guys. They said that they don't even do the permitting for the schools, that the state does. And then I checked with Mr. Mills. He said that, he wouldn't charge to review any of the paperwork or anything like that on it. So basically, we're just gonna let them have permits for free if everyone's okay
Are
with
they
that.
still having to come to planning and zoning for that?
And they submitted some plans 2 or 3 years ago. Obviously it's a county building, so it's just a formality that they do that.
I'm surprised they're even asking.
But I think we were pretty much doing asking. So somebody involved is on track, so. But Mr. Mills waived his inspection fee for it, will issued bid and the county said they didn't have any jurisdiction on property anywhere in Sumter County. I didn't know. So state fire marshal's office handles all of that. Okay, now we're ready for your report.
Okay. Let's see, we got a letter from the comptroller saying that the electronic meetings can continue through April the 28th. So just want to let you all be aware of that. And then also, we were talking about paving earlier, and where's the money going to come from? No, last year we got the $82,000 from the state, and that was like a one-time. Well, Governor Lee is trying to get that passed again. So that's still in the works, but there's a possibility that we could be getting the $82,000 again. And it has to be used for those 5 certain things, which one of them was paving. So just kind
We
of keep
don't
that.
know. What's so bad, we don't know that until July.
Well, we've already done
And
budget.
we have to do our budget before then, but, we're probably going to go ahead with the assumption that it's gonna be provided. It looks like it's pretty strong. We'll know more about how the legislature's gonna react on it.
That's smart, because if it's not provided, we probably wouldn't.
Right. Other than that, we've, still been collecting taxes. Anybody that pays now is gonna have to pay penalties, but most we've received majority of it, I would say. There's always a few. But we've just been busy answering phones about trash cans.
You have weather policy.
I'm sorry, what?
You have
No,
weather
no.
policy.
She has the weather.
Felicia
policy.
has weather.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Or make a suggestion, get your input on it? Where I got complaints about, they left messages on the answer machine and they didn't get a response, or we discussed that. And from here on out, can y'all please, write down the name and number and their complaint? And then, I don't know who addressed it. Do you address it? Does the mayor address it? Does it get passed to the council and we address it?
Most of the time, I don't know who said they left an actual complaint, because most people will just hang up, or they will leave a complaint, but they don't leave their name and number
Okay.
to go along with that complaint. So we have no way of
Getting that.
but yeah, if it's something that we can take care of, then yes, we will. If they leave a name and number, we will call them back. But if it's something that needs to go
Right.
further and they give us all the information we need, then yeah, we'll pass it on.
Okay, thank you.
And if they don't give you information. And pass along that.
Well, I think most of them were, when are you gonna pick up my garbage? Because of, the trash truck wasn't running. So that's what.
Okay. Got anything else?
I don't.
Okay. Weather, let's see, what I put? Weather policy. We don't have a weather policy put in place. And I kind of wanted to hear everybody on the council, how they felt, because there was some questions since we didn't have one in place. And Ms. Keisha sent out an email to everybody about, the city hall girls getting paid because it was closed. So I'd like to hear if it's okay with everybody that's on the council, how you felt about it and how you made your decision. And I'd like to hear what your decision was about the girls getting paid. Because I don't know. I just like to
And
hear everybody's
it wasn't
perspective.
just us. It was also, Sedina missed a few days. There were a few of the public works guys that couldn't make it in. Chris from the treatment plant couldn't make it.
Okay, well, I'm sorry, I
it was,
misspoke.
yeah, it
So
was
whoever
everybody.
missed,
Yeah.
whoever missed, I'd like to hear what each council member come to their decision and how they come to that decision and how can we put something in place so we don't have to make that decision.
That's the thing, we need a policy.
Right.
What happened here was, used to, the mayor had some authority over. But that section of the municipal code was removed. So we need to put a policy in place to cover that.
Right.
And I think I sent everyone a copy of the only one I could find online from surrounding cities.
I think your policy addresses it in great detail. If they choose not to come to work, they wouldn't take it.
Right.
If we were, they would not get paid. Extra sick time. But then the caveats, who's making the maker, that's addressed. And then the equivalent of time off for those who do.
Right.
All those things. I like that part. Is anything in here or something that's not being addressed? I don't know. I made my decision because we paid them. And then I got paid. You know, I felt like,
Well, you need to clarify how you got paid. You're saying, because people's gonna think you got paid by the city.
no, I got
Okay.
paid. I got paid.
But because they were closed,
Mhm.
you still got paid.
I made my decision not to pay the employees because, and I gave an example in my email if anybody wants to see it. 2 examples, because there was nothing in black and white that told me what to do. And then I asked, could they use sick time and vacation time? And I was told some employees did not want to do that. And so that's how I just said not to pay them because you didn't come to work, but you had sick time and vacation time. And I used the example of my husband because where he worked at, he had to go through like 4 channels of people to get hit, just use vacation time. But if he didn't have vacation time, because they don't accrue sick time there. So if he didn't have vacation time, my husband wouldn't have got a paycheck. So I made my, and then I didn't want some of the public works guys to have hard feelings, and I don't think they do. But I'm just speaking, I'm just looking from an outside in. I don't want them to think I've been out here in the cold weather working these long hours and I work for my pay and then they didn't come in and they get paid. So that's how I base my decision.
And also the sick policy, it may need to be changed when we look at changing policies and procedures, but it says it can only be used for sick reasons. I mean, so.
Okay.
May want to change the wording of that if
I think
that's
got
gonna
a
be,
few policies and procedures that we're gonna have to change.
because it says if you're gonna miss more than like 3 days or more than 2 days, then you have to have a doctor's note and that sort of
Maybe you
thing.
should look at kind of doing away with the designation of sick time and vacation time and just put it under the entire umbrella of paid time off.
Like PTO.
That's how my company does it. That's how a lot of companies do it.
So you can use it for whatever. You don't have to say, I'm taking a vacation day or I'm taking a sick day. You just use it.
And then we do have a couple of floating holidays that we can use because we don't get off for Good Friday or something like that. So we can, but that still kind of goes under our PTO. So even though it's called a floating holiday, it's part of PTO.
So do we want to try to adopt this policy now and then review all the other policies later?
We do need some kind of direction, because this is March, of course, time you put this in the policy and vote on it, summer is gonna be here.
Oh, but
We
things
kinda
can happen.
We kind of need to know, just in case, do we get a policy in effect?
That's the reason why I said I like to hear what everybody.
I like this, the policy you've given us, because it states it very simply. How an employee states that they're not coming in and why. If they meet these qualifications, this is what they do. If they don't, this is what, no, I think it lays it out. I'm not seeing anything missing.
Did this policy come from Portland?
Yes.
Have you spoken with any offices if there's any problem that they may have with this policy that they need to tweak or adjust?
I have not, but I'm sure I could reach out to them.
I think Mr. Leaf was. Oh, Mr. Leaf.
I'm just gonna say, I think we need to run this here through John Bradley, but I think we do need to get a policy in place.
How are we gonna handle this past occurrence?
They all got paid.
Okay.
But I was told.
Okay. Well,
Yes.
Yeah, going forward, yeah, we definitely need to consult with John Bradley to see what the city of Portland does and what that looks like, what kind of leave that is.
See, with Public Works, like I was told, with Public Works, they could go into work. They weren't closed. City Hall, they didn't have an option to go in. They closed. Right?
And I think we probably need to kind of clarify.
Yeah.
What closed meant?
Closed.
Okay.
Because I don't want citizens coming up there trying to,
Right.
somebody close to my age coming there, it's icy. And they're trying to pay their water bill on the 12th of the month because they have the bill and don't want to wait till the deadline. We don't want them to come up there and get hurt just because we're open.
Right.
So, you specify a city hall is closed, but if you have employees that can still make it in.
Okay.
Now, in Hendersonville, what they did, they allowed them to work from home.
Okay.
And, but unfortunately, we don't have that much of a capability for our folks who work at home.
Well, I
So-
discussed that with Miss Keisha. Her and I had a conversation. I said, with this COVID money or some money we might have, could we look into, and I asked her, could she speak to the gentleman that's gonna come and help her do the direct deposit thing? Ask him if, can we maybe not ask him if we can purchase maybe 2 or 3 laptops, but that would be a council decision, a mayor decision. And then put the software on them laptops where the employee could take it home with them. If something like this ever happened again, they could be able to work from home. I mean, I think that's an idea too.
So much of work over there is hands-on work, They're coming in, bringing, like a lot of them were paying their property tax. And a lot of them, let's say for instance, someone coming in to bring something for planning and zoning. There's a lot of those things that you just can't handle from home that have to be handled from city hall.
Basically, the only thing we could do from home would be answer the phone. And, if we had the software on a laptop or something, tell them how much their bill was. Give them the 844 number and their account number to pay it online, but
So if you had it set up correctly, someone could have answered the phones from home.
right.
and Took care of a lot of those problems.
And my feeling is 99% of the calls you would have gotten. When's my trash being picked up and when are you plowing my road?
I can tell you what they were.
Or are you open today? No, I'll talk to you on the phone.
Yeah. So what are we gonna let Mr. Bradley look over this?
Okay, I can email it to him, see if he can.
I mean, I figured he was part of writing it originally, because for Portland, right?
Possibly him or Mr. Grubbs.
He's been there long.
He's
Oh,
not been
okay.
there.
Okay.
I do feel like that there needs to be one in place, so there will not be no questions asked.
Right.
All the employees will know, and moving forward, they will have the answer. They won't have to just guess what the council's wishes or the mayor.
I will say this about it too. I would like it to be very clear, either we're open or we're closed, not are we gonna make it to work today? We're gonna have to close it. That was one.
So that puts pressure on them to,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will, make the decision based off of, like he said, it's for the citizens to come and do business.
Well, even if you're open and it's not safe for the citizens, you could put something out saying, due to the weather, we are
I know.
open,
But I
but
just
you
said,
don't
I
have
want
to.
the decision made off of that caveat, not that we're gonna have to close because no one,
Right.
that kind of thing. Have that very clear.
Okay.
Check with John and we'll discuss it. We may have a policy on the agenda to.
I have a question. I should have asked you something. How are the time records submitted?
They all fill out time cards.
Handwritten time cards?
Mhm.
They don't transmit them to email or anything?
The only person that does that is Mr. Mills, because.
Yeah.
But no, everyone fills out a handwritten.
And of course, our supervisors are verifying.
Yes, they sign off on them,
And
and then we review them.
do you, and you review them, or
Meredith.
is there a lot of time involved in doing it that way? Opposed to doing it electronically.
Are you
Not
talking about
really.
time clocks?
Yeah,
Would y'all be opposed to going to time clocks?
I wouldn't think so.
I think it would be a lot.
I mean,
easier.
they're still gonna have to turn in some paperwork. Cause like the public works guys, when they work overtime, they have to designate what they're working overtime for. Were they working on water stuff? Were they working on sewer stuff?
Right.
That way we can allocate where the overtime pay comes from.
you're gonna look at the time clock situation. Another question. The policy procedure says all employees time record,
Mhm.
Even salary.
even it says all.
Oh, that needs to be changed, salary down. Or
So,
it shouldn't.
I mean, are there, Ms. Frieda may know, I don't know for sure. Are there laws about salaried employees submitting time records and stuff?
I do not know. You know laws.
Because I know we've gone back and forth on that over a period of time. And I don't know, but our policy says all employees. You don't physically submit one. That's not mine. I don't know.
Easy enough, they could just submit one. And
Well,
just
I
put it in the stack with everything else.
Well, then I guess that's what I'm asking, is that what we want?
What do you want? Are you wanting the supervisor? Do you want, like, I'm gonna use you for an example. Do you want Keisha to write her time down and you want her to tell you what she does? Or do
No.
you want her just to clock in and clock out?
I just want, I've been looking at the policies, we're gonna have to make some adjustments. That is, if it's not difficult to do, I think we should all do it.
Have a time clock
Yeah,
and clock in, clock out.
What is the purpose of you saying the salary, just want to know what times have done?
opposed to having handwritten records of time cards.
I get that, but salary's not paid by hours, so I'm trying to figure out why are you wanting,
Policy says,
that's why.
that's why.
Change the policy, and
Yep.
take it out.
Nope.
Hourly staff will, submit a, time record.
Until we change the policy.
And it says time record or time whatever now, so it doesn't say electronic, time clock or mechanical time clock. It looks like to me, that they just be a council decision.
So do you want time clock?
I mean, it's not up to me.
Well, I mean, you're,
I just don't, I don't think a handwritten record of the time this day.
Well, let's look at the logical side of it, when we discuss it. You have an officer that has a car, take home the car and home. He's called out on the call. You want him to come back to City Hall or back to the PD to clock in and then go to the call? If it's an emergency,
Not an
when you want him
emergency.
to go on to the call, but if he has to write it in, it's the same way we have right now. Their supervisor has to okay that. And there has been instances where overtime was not okayed by the supervisor. So, it's not paid as such. Let's say public works, if they come out, they've got a water main break. Let's say, like, Beho, for instance. The water main breaks, half a mile from his house. Are you gonna have him come all the way to Westmoreland to clock in to go back out there where you're losing thousands of gallons a minute?
No.
I mean, there's things to think about, you know, because
There are systems like ADP, and I don't know, I mean, that's a cost, and I don't know what that would end up being. But that you can actually set up that time card. Then they can come in, so let's just say Officer Jones has to run out. Well, he can actually come back, he can access ADP from any computer. And he can put in his time, there's a place for a note, he can do all of that. And it takes the guesswork out, then the supervisor goes in, they just look at the time card, they approve, and they send it on. And it's done. Plus, you can also work that in to where it works with your direct deposits.
Well, the officers, when they're called out, they check in with the dispatch and there's a log of that time that he checks in. So, I mean, he can always be verified.
You say time clock.
Well, I'm
Just me.
just more so on a digital record. I mean, if they had to go in and submit it electronically or something.
I see it would be good if somebody had question about an employee. You know, that way, you know, if somebody wrong question, I'm using Miss Keisha again, if somebody has like somebody says one of her people was at so-and-so place and then Miss Keisha can verify, you know, I see what you're saying about that, because it's clock in, clock out. Like they can say, well, I was there, but I was on my lunchtime. You can go look at my time clock.
And it's not something that can just be turned
Manipulated.
in.
Yeah.
That's where ADP would not work, because you could just go in, like,
And
let's
put
just
whatever.
use Keisha again. She's on salary, but you guys are saying, let's do a time clock. Well, she could just go in and say, okay, I was 8 to 5, had an hour for lunch. And that's an issue. That's not giving you an actual physical clock in, clock out.
Okay, we'll revisit this some in the future. Right now, what we want to do is concentrate on checking Mr. Bradley. And we'll look at whether policy and we can move ahead on some of this other.
But speaking of direct deposit, the guy from the software company is coming Monday morning, and he's gonna set up the bank files and send them to the bank for them to test to make sure they got everybody's information in their system right, and then show us how to do everything on the payroll side. So
it should be not long.
Right. Yes.
Well,
Keisha, can you do a recap on what's going to be on the agenda?
Okay.
We're not there yet.
We're not there yet.
Oh, not there. That was about there.
No, we're not there yet.
We've been discussing for the past few months the fact that we don't have anywhere to dispose of our sludge. So we put out for bids to see if we could get the electrical installed if we did like an agreement or a proposal with a company to come in and do that. We would have the electrical set up for that to happen. We did not have any company or anyone that offered, that submitted a single bid on that. So I checked with H&A Resource Management. They actually have a generator that they rent that they can bring if we sign a contract with them to press our sludge. Our digester is just about at the max. With the spring rains, we're going to have to be getting something done. So I inquired as to what companies that are around here close that do that. There's only one that I was told about. It's the one Portland uses. It's the one Hartsville uses, and some of the other areas. But with Portland using them, I was reasonably assured that they do a good job and service them. So they sent a proposal in, and they will press it for 75 cents a gallon. Excuse me, 0.75 cents a gallon. And that leaves us just having to pay a setup fee for them to bring the equipment and rent the generator from them. But we had to provide the trucking to the landfill. So for a 0.95 cents, another 0.25 or 0.20, they will actually truck it to the landfill in Smith County for us. with us getting into, a tight situation, as we're getting, and we have put feelers out to many, farmers in the area. And, right now, we haven't had any takers on, disposing of our sludge anywhere in that manner. So, it's becoming an emergency situation to, prevent our tanks from overflowing. So, I have that proposal, and, we just have to find somewhere, in our budget from, wastewater where it would come from. But, I have that proposal, and I will give it to Keisha, and she can email it out tomorrow. And, if we need to move ahead on this, I'll sign a contract with them, and, just don't see, I mean, we can do the sealed bids and all on it, but it looked like the nearest company, was in Ohio. And I just don't see that they would be able to load their equipment up and bring it down here. We're just a, 300,000 gallon a day facility. H&A supports Portland. They support, Westmoreland. I think they, support, I believe it's Gordonsville, all in this area. So, what I proposed with them is that they could come and catch us when they're in our area, with the other, facilities, because, they're probably only gonna be in Westmoreland 2 days, twice a year, is what they're, estimating. So, I'll let you ponder on that and think about it, and we'll get the proposal sent out to everyone, and, you can look at what it has in it, and, we'll make some decisions.
You said $1 per gallon?
0.95 cents. Yeah, 9.5 cents.
You know what our current holding capacity?
We have 100,000 gallons.
Are there companies that buy the sludge? I took that sewer class. Talk about companies.
You can find them, we'll take them home yesterday.
I figured our engineers would know somewhere.
They're still looking at possibly doing a sludge box. So, one of their suggestions was that Hartsville has that sludge box, and we're still going to purchase it, but we still got to find somebody to trade it.
I'll find out.
Sludge box is definitely a possibility for us.
Because in that class, that's very valuable.
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, it's just like David said about it. It's excellent fertilizer, but unfortunately, we're replacing it for, everyone was afraid of COVID, and it didn't matter that, it was treated and everything in it was in good shape.
So if anybody's listening and you got some land that you would like for us to put this on, contact the city hall or the mayor.
Do you know the basic requirements for that? I mean, I know they had to be approved.
There's strict requirements for that, Brian. It's got to be almost perfect conditions for it. And it's a long process of getting the state to approve it.
I don't think it's that long, especially when they know it's an emergency. But you got to have somebody that's willing to let you do it. Our sludge permit, when I became mayor, had actually expired, so we had to go through getting a new one. We actually have two now, so, but, you know, if the owner won't let us come on the property anymore, it's not up to us. You know, we possibly, could look at leasing some land, but, no one, seems to, have come forward for that. Like I said, I put movers out in 3 or 4 counties.
Our own property at one place is not acceptable
We're
anymore.
using it.
That's all.
That's what we use, but it's just not enough. Okay, I asked everyone to ride over by the gazebo and check the tree. Tri-County has it's 3 trunks on that tree. One goes right over the gazebo. The other one was going into a transformer, and the other one just kind of hangs out over the gazebo and memorial. Tri-County cut the trunk today that was in the transformer, and they said they would come back if we wanted them to and take the other out. They suspect that the one that's going over the gazebo is going to cause problems in the near future. So I talked to the folks over there, and Roger told me he sent word to me that he was okay with it being taken out, but he wanted it de-stumped. They're not doing any stump grinding, so if we're just gonna have the trees trimmed, or if we go that route and we hit it ground, then we're gonna have to put some money in the budget for some tree topping and grinding. So I was trying to get some ideas. It would definitely be less expensive to let them cut it while they're willing to cut it. But if you don't want it cut, then we're just gonna have to come up some money and trim it up. You get a chance to look at that in the next couple of days, kind of let me know what you want to do. I think Brian wants to try to save it and trim it up. So I haven't priced any tree trimming since we did the one over at the park.
The tree's been trimmed before, so it doesn't have a huge load on it. So that I think that gives us some time to put it in the budget kind of thing. But if we have it cut down, I'd like to have the expense of replacing it with something comparable. So that's why I'd kind of like to save it.
Next item is we've have some more litigation that has come before the city. It's been turned over to TML. So that's in process right now. It'll probably be one of those deals where it'll be a year or so before we hear anything. That has come forward, and I'm sure there's some more things that we could talk about the way hours of the morning, but it's getting late. So, Tisha, what all do you have that is going to be going on the agenda? Obviously, we have a second reading of the dumpster ordinance going on.
The spring cleanup day, the IDB appointments, and then the weather policy if Mr. Bradley gets something back to us before then. Did I miss anything?
The charter amendments. Mr. Bradley is working on those tonight. That's why he's not here. And he said that he would try to get them out as soon as possible so everyone could start reading those. He is coordinating everything with Reed Lambert, so we're not in danger of going over. I told him, I said, if I call a special call meeting, I will. And he said we're good for the regular meeting.
Are we going to start budget in April?
That's what I was gonna ask everyone. Do you want to try to come in-house and do some of it? You gonna try to do it by Zoom? How do you wanna handle it?
I'm okay in house, as long as they're the way they are now.
No coming in-house.
Who's coming here?
Mr. Lee?
I just have to see what the situation is right then, how I'm feeling.
And could we do it hybrid like we're doing now?
We got to make some adjustments because I can't hardly hear Brian.
I understand.
Mr. Hunter is working on getting a microphone that will somehow, I don't know, link into the Zoom feed so that he was gonna do that a few weeks ago for the meeting that got canceled, so.
Mr. Brown?
Yeah, I think let's put it on the agenda for the next work study so we can decide on how we want to proceed with, in whether it be April or whenever we start.
I will actually, I will probably actually try to start this month sometime. So I'll just do a special call meeting. There's numbers have not been coming in because of COVID. There's not a lot being talked about for budget this year. So everyone's hesitant in making predictions. So I think it's gonna be a larger guess this year than what we've had in the past. But I think we're going to come up with some pretty good numbers for our budget. The big decision that's going to have to be made, and probably made pretty quick, is do you want to try to do an issue to pave some streets? That's a big question right now.
I guess we need to investigate it. About loan situation or?
Yeah, and you know, the streets are so bad now, I don't think $1 million that was estimated last year, I don't think it'll do it.
Yeah, they've really declined.
But that'd go a long ways though, and I'm willing to do a bond issue. I think it'd be a good thing.
I think we need to do.
David, what kind of amount you think we're gonna need? Brian estimated $1 million to $1.5 million last year when they did the street study. Obviously, we're gonna have Sumner Drive and 31E, old 31E paved this year.
Yeah.
But streets are in such bad shape, I'm not even sure that the binder that's underneath is gonna hold up now.
Yeah, I know. I don't have a clue, Jay, what it would take. I know it'll be higher than what they estimated back last year, but we've got to do something.
Well, I know last year in February when we had that offer of $1 million loan at 0% interest. I was figuring around 55 or 56, I think 5,600 a month payback on it. Of course, we didn't have a set number of years at that point. Of course, we never did get into negotiations to accept it. And if the council wants me to, I'll go ahead and get with Brian again and let him have something to make as a proposal either at our next work study or something. That'll give us some direction to go.
Yep.
I would like that.
I'm good with that.
Okay, anything else we need to discuss?
While we're on the topic of budget, I have a request. Can we a letter sent to the organization, the donations from us, requesting budgets and what they use our donation for. I think during COVID, a lot of those things may have changed. And we may have to make some decisions. And I hate to cut that funding out. I would want to move amount of information from those organizations. Some of them, they don't, we just don't ask any questions. I would like as much information as possible to have at budget time in case we do that.
Several of them, like, in Cumberland,
Yes.
they submit an entire package to us annually. So we do have it from several, but you're right, there are some, of course, like some of the organizations, pretty much volunteer organizations, and they just submit a spreadsheet, not so much a budget as such.
That's why I said I know their needs may have changed. So I'd like to be brought up to speed on what their needs. And that goes for all of them. Chamber of Commerce.
All the local ones.
All of the local ones and.
You, us to,
Work on that.
I do have one question. Mr. Spears, when he come, did he, I think Mr. Smallin asked for his financials, did?
He was supposed to have got those to me a few weeks ago. Hold on. I'll tell you what his last message said. I asked him on the 24th of February, and they were supposed to be having their board meeting the next night, and he was going to get it then.
Follow up with you.
Well, I'll do that in the morning instead of at 10 o'clock
Mr.
tonight.
Spears, has there been any action taken on the lights that he asked?
haven't heard anything about it.
Because he was going to, or he was handling that, and we were just going to pay for those.
We was just, basically purchasing the bulbs, right now,
I mean, I hate that if you ask and.
Well, with this weather, we've been able to get a truck in there.
Probably not, they haven't, but it's going to work.
He did come over and get a PO to have that done though. So.
Well, that's where that's at.
I mean, you better shut it down real quick.
You have any questions?
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.
Good night.
I don't know, I haven't eaten nothing except salad this morning.
I got everything.